Hey everybody, welcome, greetings. Hope you had a great week. It's Friday. It's Heavy Metallurgy episode number 264. I'm one of your hosts. I'm Marty. It's good to see you. Alan, how you doing, man?
I'm doing pretty good. It's summer. I've spent 3 hours mowing grass today. So if I spontaneously fall asleep, you guys just, can kick me out and carry on. But no, we've had a good week. Took the family on a short little vacation. So we got out of town for a couple of days. Just did a whole lot of nothing. Just had fun and hung out. So yeah, it's been a pretty good week. Hope everyone in the chat is doing well. Lots of folks already checking in. And yeah, excited because we have a brand new guest.
Ty from Living Deadwax. Good to see you.
Yeah.
I forgot to pull up the media assets. Oh, there we go.
Yay.
Good to see you, man. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, man. Thanks for having me. I was telling you in the dugout, I've been watching you guys for like 3 years. And it's funny, Alan mentioned mowing grass because I love mowing grass. And my grass, I'm finally probably getting rid of it this year because living in Arizona, it's more maintenance than what it's worth. And I used to listen to you guys all the time mowing grass. So
Nice.
listen to the VODs and listen to the episodes while doing the yard work. So
Right on.
Good deal. Yeah, I like mowing it too, as long as I've got the time to do it. If I'm not rushed or anything, it's fun. But yeah, sometimes. And today was a perfect day for it. The wife and kid went out and about. Weather was good. I'm like, I can do that and just take my time and mow.
Good deal.
Work.
I
Get your hand kill on.
packaged a bunch of orders today, so I'm down to about 200 packages left with Panopticon orders. So cheers, everybody, for being patient. Thank you so much. The shirts are printed finally. Well, hopefully by Monday or Tuesday, the queue will be back at zero. So thank you, everybody, for being patient and hanging out. And I do, before we talk to Ty and learn a little bit about his channel, I did want to give a little shout out to Decibel Books for, I think it's finally available. I don't know.
Yes,
Obviously, it
is.
arrived in me and Alan's post box, so office or
Yeah. The
mailboxes,
pre-orders are
so.
shipped, but I think it is just generally available now too.
Yep, this is Sodom, the official authorized biography by Holger Schmenkt.
Dr. Hoger Schmenkter.
Doctor. Well, there's no doctor here, but
There's on the inside of the cover.
I cracked it open to look at a couple of the pictures because I'm a picture guy.
Go to
Thankfully,
the middle. Yeah.
yeah, there's enough pictures in here that'll keep me interested. But no kidding, Sodom will keep me interested. But the book looks fantastic. A lot of pictures, visually, graphically, laid out very well. I know Albert and crew have been slaving on this one for a while with the translation. So a once German-only edition is now seen English. So if you're a big Sodom fan like we are here, definitely check it out on Decibel Books. There is a link in the description of this show for you to go click on and go snag yourself a copy. I'll be reading that here in the coming weeks. Hey, Miss A, what's shaking? And it's good to see everybody here. But Ty,
Yes, sir.
tell us a little bit about Living Deadwax. I'm new to the channel. I'll be completely honest. It's weird how things I don't ever see and then suddenly it pops up. Maybe it was one of the metal tags is where I
think it-
might have been made aware of your show. Have you done the metal tag before?
I did, yeah. I did
I did
the
this year.
20, yeah, the one at the beginning of this year. I did. That was the first one I've done. Yeah, me and my buddy started the channel about like 3 years ago, and I watched a lot of you guys, a lot of SOT, and I was like, I'm gonna take their idea. You know, the best ideas are taken ideas, stolen ideas. So I'm like,
Well, what we're doing isn't new either. So I mean, it all rolls downhill.
exactly.
Pete
but
Pardo, never heard of the guy. Who's that?
Pete Pardo, yeah.
we
I
always,
never listened to Venom in my heyday. That 3 is completely original.
But we yeah, I was just like, let's take their idea because we always bullshitted about music anyway. So, and you know, he's got a big vinyl collection, so we're like, let's do a channel like this. So we started doing it. We weren't doing it live, just like a weekly podcast thing. It mostly started out as collection updates, and then we started choosing topics and stuff. We did about a year of that, and then we kind of ran. I was more not like dedicated, but I like the homework aspect of this shit because it allows me to active listen, and I like taking notes, and I get connected with the music again, not like the old, not like when I'm just listening in the background and stuff and just streaming. And I used to write about music. I did it for 4 years in journalism, and I would just pitch album reviews all the time. Like, yeah, I actually reviewed the Symphony X album that's on the wallpaper for the high school paper.
Oh,
so
cool.
I'm like, yeah, I'm going to review the Symphony X. What's that? Oh, don't worry about it. I'm just going to review it. It'll be great. So did that in college. So I'm like, this would be kind of an extension of that. So we were doing it, did really good, and he just didn't want to do the homework and stuff. And we had a lot of overlap with our interests in our music, but we honestly had a lot of differences too. Like what he was passionate about is not anything that I'm passionate about, and vice versa. So
that makes good conversation, though. Good debate.
It does if you're willing to listen to the music. So sometimes you can't have a conversation if the other person doesn't want to listen to the albums to talk about. And I think it was kind of bipolar. Like I'm going to show a Bloodbath album, and then he's going to show a Blink-182 album or something.
Oh, well, that's a vast difference. Difference.
And I grew up on a lot of 90s stuff too, so I can kind of bullshit my way through talking about most things. But yeah, it was kind of bipolar. So anyway, end of last year, did the metal tag, and I'm like, I'm going to give it a go. And my 3-year-old daughter started, getting into watching YouTube and stuff. So she got a kick out of it and started introducing her to music. And yeah, I was like, I'm going to give this a go, because I've done a couple YouTube channels before. My wife and I had one talking about movies and Blu-rays and stuff. That did pretty good. Then we had the kiddo, so that changed things. So I was like, yeah, I'm going to give it a go. And my daughter gets a kick out of it. And worst case scenario, it'll give her something to watch and say, oh, my dad wasted all his money on this shit. Cool.
So this is where my college education went. Awesome, Dad.
Go, yeah.
Thanks.
Yep, exactly. 100%. So yeah.
Well, awesome. It's good to meet you. It's good to get to know about the channel a little bit more. People linked in the description to Living Deadwax. Go check him out over there. He has kind of a a nice dive into the Halloween.
Yes, sir.
Dive. And I only flipped a couple tables during that conversation he had there, so it wasn't too bad. It wasn't too bad. But.
That's funny.
Alan, did you have any more stuff for Ty?
No, I think you covered it really well there. And no, it was a good Halloween ranking. Yeah, everyone's going to have their differences of opinions, but I liked the way you worked through it pretty systematically and had the tier system up for it.
Yeah, it's
not too many I would drastically move from your tiers.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. You might have ranked Chameleon even lower than I did. So I don't know.
You ranked it as low as you could. I can't fault me. That's all a man can do.
But yeah, I love doing the album rankings. It's just like some of them are daunting. Like I did my Rush one, and did the Halloween one, did the Maiden one, and I'm like, sometimes it's a lot when you're doing them by yourself. Like So, but yeah, no, it's definitely fun.
I was on Whatnot the other night. Last weekend, me and the kid were listening to music in the music room, and we were both on Whatnot, on the same guy, and a guy put up Chameleon for $10. I asked the guy how much is it, and he's like $10. I'm like, you gonna get it, Parker? And he's like, not for $10. I'm like, whatever, it's worth $10. So I bought it. I'm like, well, ungrateful little bastard. So I bought it. I'm like, I should give this to Alan, but I just know it's just going to get mystically shuffled along to someone else. So the kid will have his copy of Chameleon. I said, so you're telling me the album sucks? He's like, no, it doesn't suck. It just isn't as good as the others. I'm like, fair enough.
For $10, he could have bought 2 good albums on Whatnot.
Right.
There you go. Yeah. Just listen to Giants. That's what you need. Giants is a sick song.
There's some good songs on there.
There's 4 passable songs on a very long album.
Yep. But we're not here to talk about that tonight. We're here. Ty was kind enough to come up with a bunch of really cool topics, and
had a good list.
Good list of stuff. We always extend the courtesy to the guests to come with a topic, because Alan and I do this every week, and it's nice having fresh ideas trickle in. So we chose one of them. And Ty, what are we talking about tonight?
Yeah, we're going to do bookended albums. So albums, they may or may not be classic albums, but they have a killer opener and a killer closing track. I was telling Marty in the dugout, I tried to make this even harder than I needed to on myself and not include albums that had intros. So if it was a numbered intro track that was like a minute of just ambient bullshit, I was like, no, I'm not going to include the album. So,
I did not follow those rules. I said to hell with it real quick. I said, nope. I'm going to skip the intros and the outros. Anyway, go ahead. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, so I did, yeah, I definitely included the intros and the outros. I tried to avoid doing like bonus tracks. I tried to just include the original release, how it came out when you bought it.
Yeah.
There might be one or two of here that I bent the rules a little bit, but yeah, I thought that was a good topic, and I told you earlier, I just shotgun blasted topics at you because I'm like, I've watched so many episodes, but I don't remember what they have and haven't covered. So here's a bunch. Choose what you want. And then when you chose it, I'm like, oh shit, I actually have to do this now. So
Yep. All right. Well, since you're the guest, you can get the party started here with our first round here.
All right. It's like show and tell. Here we go. I know you guys are Mexican radio fans.
You got to be shitting me, bro.
So, nah.
He's not starting with that.
Well,
that was
good. Oh, it's getting late, Ty.
Shortest guest appearance ever.
Shortest,
Wow,
see
he
you
broke the
later.
record.
Yep.
No, that was that definitely. I actually like that album quite a bit, but definitely not. Mexican Radio is a classic opener.
It is.
I'll
classic.
start with this one. I'll start. Yeah, infamous, I guess.
Not just famous, infamous.
Exactly. I'll start with this one. It's a newer band, newer album. They got a new one coming out. Stormkeep, Tales of Other Time, came out in 2021 from guys from Denver doing some melodic, symphonic black metal. Absolutely love the album cover. This stuff is just like crack to me. Like that, like that album cover. You see that album cover, I know exactly what I'm getting into. But you start out with The Seer. It's 9 minutes of epic melodic black metal. Love the track, and it's an opener to a cool concept as well. The track introduces us to our main character, The Seer. You get some great headbanging riffs, some good solos, awesome synth, majestic acoustic guitars, and you get some just amazing production out of these guys. It's absolutely insane what bands can do today. Bands not even on major labels, what they can pull off now. It sets up the album nicely and what you should expect for the next 43 minutes as well, which I love in an opener. I love like, okay, I know what I'm getting into here. It's a brisk 9 minutes, captures the feel of the entire album within it, and grabs your attention. And to me, they are eating Dimmu Borgir's lunch now. Like the new Dimmu, like would just went in one ear, out the other. And I've been spinning this for 4 or 5 years now. And then you get the Eternal Majesty Manifest to close it out. 8-minute conclusion to the story. And the track really has a lot of aggression in it, but really good atmosphere, and it kind of straddles that line really nicely. You get some seriously catchy riffing as well on that song, which I love. But some awesome synth, too, that adds to that fantasy atmosphere. The track slows down at like the 3-minute mark, and you get some awesome solos with some harpsichord sounding synth, which is very cool. And the track is just filled with great melodic guitar, awesome atmosphere, awesome pacing, good blast beats, and they are sincere. Like when you're doing like a nerdy subject like this, being sincere goes a long way. Like you could tell when you're not into it, and to me, it goes a long way. Super very cinematic. The whole album is, but yeah, I like think Summoning mixed with Emperor, mixed with Dimmu Borgir, mixed with Dissection, and then some kick-ass power metal on top of that. That's what I think about when I think of this album. So yeah, very good, and 2 good songs. That's another thing I did. I tried to think of, if I was going to introduce somebody to these bands, would I pick these 2 songs? So that's kind of what I thought when I was making my picks.
Right on, and it comes with a completely pointless map, everyone.
Yeah.
Hey! If you're trying to navigate that fantastical land, you'll be glad you have that map, Mister.
Not going to be wandering into that map, that land anytime soon. George G.
While you're waiting for your burger and fries at Chuck E. Cheese, you entertained.
That's right.
They're watching the clock, wondering where your burrito was at.
George, thank you so much for the super chat, man. Everybody go check out George G's Room of Rock. It rules. George rules, as you all know. He's been on the channel before. Thanks, man.
Indeed.
All right. Alan.
Yeah, cool pick. And the new Stormkeep's due out in just a couple of weeks.
Yes.
And I've listened to the promo a couple times, and I'm not going there right now.
I haven't cracked the promo yet. I've been meaning to. I haven't gotten around to it.
I'm so hyped for it, so that's good.
Yeah, I was very interested to hear it, and then I heard it, and Now I have questions.
I haven't even listened to the advanced singles that they have on Spotify and stuff, so I'm kind of media blackout on it. So I guess we'll find out.
Yeah, yep. I need to sit down and like pay more attention. Like you said, it's been more kind of like, let's just kind of, give it a quick listen in the background, but it would definitely started kind of raising some eyebrows. We shall see, though. We shall see. All right,
man. What you got?
All right. Well, some albums rule, but other albums reign. We'll start with something very easy here. It's already been brought up in the chat.
Bastard.
Slayer's Reign in Blood. Getting a little extra glare, so let's slide that out. Here we go. So yeah, I mean, obviously, one of the watershed moments for thrash metal during the 1980s. And can you pick a better example of a bookended album? The stuff in the middle is fine, but it starts, of course, with Angel of Death, which is one of the most recognizable thrash songs of all time. And it ends with Reign in Blood, which is one of the most recognizable thrash songs of all time. So yeah, they absolutely set this one up to start with a bang and end with a bang. They're also the two longest songs on the album. Of course, the album, everything in between is much, much shorter than those two tracks. So it's an interesting album structure that they kind of begin with a normal length song, and then they just kind of like, bam, 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 keep, hitting you, over and over with these, very short, tight, aggressive, 2 to 3 minute songs. And then they end on one more like normal length song. It's almost like, what do you mean all the songs were short? Here, where it's ending normally. What happened to you? Were you not paying attention? So yeah, it's a weird album structure. Of course, has a very short overall runtime, but absolutely iconic tracks to begin and end the album. I mean, the tracks in between could be mediocre and the album would still be hailed as great just based on the strength of those two songs alone. Fortunately, lots of stuff in the middle of the album is very, very good as well. So yeah, seemed like an obvious one to start with. And cheers to those already mentioning it in the chat. Slayer, Reign in Blood, my first pick for an album that starts incredibly well and ends incredibly well.
And it's funny, in the dugout after the album club this past Wednesday, we were kind of talking about this topic a little bit, and
cool.
Reign in Blood came up, and I picked it as well. And Raining Blood is a great song. I agree. This definitely should be on this list, but I think Postmortem gets a great assist because those two songs together make something really, really special. The build up and frantic explosion of Postmortem into the the thunder and stuff. I think it's essential to have Postmortem before Raining Blood, but yeah, great pick, man.
Yeah, definitely one of the more obvious ones, but some of those, they're obvious for a reason. So
yeah. Exactly, yeah. And I always feel like on these topics, if we have to hit some of the obvious ones at least, otherwise it's like, why did you do the topic and avoid all the things that people want to hear you talk about?
Yeah, exactly. 100%.
All right, Marty, your turn to step up to the plate and show us what you got.
All right. Well, we're going with Battles in the North by Immortal. I had At the Heart of Winter in my hand because that to me is a perfect riff album. The last song on that album is a really good song. It's just not one of the best ones on the album, so I felt like I had to pivot a little bit, and I, of course, remembered Blasherick, Mighty Raven Dark, the closing track on here. This is another super short record. This thing's only 35 minutes long, but it ends on that epic, super grim, the video of them running between the two mountains is always hilarious, but the album starts with Battle in the North, and, this is textbook early Immortal. Super fast. There's the rumors going around that Abath played the drums on here and they sped up the drum tape, so it was even faster. But Demonaz's riffing style is just great. The melody lines are completely unique. You can tell it's Immortal, with the opening chord progression. But when he finally kicks into the speed and those tremolo picked chord progressions, it's just absolute classic Immortal. And, they got faster. And then with At the Heart of Winter, they changed to a more riff-based, a little more well-rounded, I think. I think this was kind of they started off with a Bathory worship, and then they kind of came into their own sound, but it kind of hit its zenith on Blizzard Beasts. It's just very fast and a little over the top. Something had to change, but here, this is a great start, a great end. This is a great album. There's no doubt about it. Even the cover, the cheesy cover, it's just so good. So good. I love that whole era of Norway. The whole Norway black metal thing during the 90s was so exciting.
Yeah. See, I like the promo cover better.
You like the snow
thing.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right.
Cool pick. Interesting.
All right. Ty.
I'll just piggyback off you. I'll kind of go out of the order they had. I'm going to choose 2009's All Shall Fall.
That's a great record, and nobody talks about it.
Nobody
I like that
talks
record.
about it. It's because it's following Sons of Northern Darkness, and then they basically didn't exist, and they kind of exist now, depending on. I like the new albums with just Demon Eyes doing them, but it kind of gets. I don't think it lives up to Sons of Northern Darkness, but as far as the opener and the closer, you get the title track as the opener, and I think, like you said, the album's kind of unfairly treated, and it features some great tunes, including these two. You're immediately greeted with the gate slamming, so just like on the album cover. I love that type of shit. I love the callback when you can hear in the music what's on the cover and in the gatefold and all that type of stuff. And then you get signature Abath, guitar tones. Like, he's one of my favorite guitar tones ever. I got to see him live open for Danzig last 2 years ago, or last year, and that was just sick. They just played Immortal tunes, so it was awesome. His playing and tone, some of the most signature in all of metal. You also get a great act. I can't really do it, but that classic.
That was pretty good, I thought.
And not even a minute in, they do it. Horg's drumming moves things along quickly. It's a 6-minute track. At the 3-minute mark, you get a great interlude with some awesome bass work and then some booming drums. The drum sound on it, I love it. And then 3:40 onwards, it's just signature Immortal. It's epic. It's simple. It's heavy. Peter Tactrin, too. I don't know if I ever pronounce his name right. That dude, he gets some of the best productions on black metal records. Unearthly Kingdom is the closer, more massive riffs, just classic frostbitten atmosphere. It's mid-pace, kind of classic Immortal at this time frame, what they were doing. They knew what they did, and they did it well. Very melodic, built around those riffs. Feels triumphant, but very cinematic. Lots of vocals are super good. I mean, they drip with character. Like his snarl is just a hook within itself. It's a song that makes you feel like you're galloping through a field of ice and snow on horseback, which is what Immortal wants to picture. So, it's a kick-ass song. And I say if you have always liked Immortal, like, I feel like this album gets slept on and overlooked, and it's more of the same, but they know what they do and they do it well. And I love the fact that they wear their influences on their sleeve and they don't overcomplicate shit. Like, this is what we are, this is what we do well. So sometimes the simplest stuff can be the heaviest stuff, and I dig this record, and I dig those two songs especially.
Good pick. Good album. Way better than Damned in Black, and I think anyway.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, Damned in Black is not a favorite in there.
Kind of a rockin' album. It's still good, but it's just,
It's not terrible, but I would put it pretty low.
Yeah.
Okay, if we're doing Norwegian black metal, I shall also shuffle the stack a little bit here. We'll go with debut from Gorgoroth. Opening, the tracks, of course, are in Norwegian, so bear with me. But yeah, opener, Negveg Slank, sure. A very good track. Opens, it sets the tone for the album really, really well, I think. It gives you a really solid idea of what they're aiming for. It encapsulates the album nicely. The closer is the gem, though. Of the two, this one's a little bit weighted towards the closing track. Magenskirgen Slave. Sure.
What'd you call me?
How dare you say that about my mother? This track is fantastic. It really stands out on the album, not just as the opener or closer, but it's got a really tight structure to it. And at the end, they keep adding a few sections. It feels like the song will end at a certain point, but it doesn't. It has another section that builds a little more of an epic vibe to it. You can tell it's one of the Infernus penned tracks on here. The songs he wrote tended to have that bigger epic sweep to them, whereas the tracks written by the drummer tend to be just the more kind of faster bludgeoning ones. But even after the epic part, the song still doesn't end. It has yet another section where they sort of just really ramp up the intensity one last time. And there's this really weird guitar effect. It's kind of spacey sounding that is added in as well. It's just kind of like, whoa, where the hell did that come from? And then the song really quickly, just winds down at the end. So it's almost like, this great case of, just whiplash towards the end of build it up, but don't let it end. Build it up again, let it blast off, add this one last cool thing completely out of the blue, and then end. So yeah, the album ends fantastic. It makes you want to just go back right to the start. And the lead track, once again, sets everything up absolutely perfect for the album. So yeah, Gorgoth's Pentagram. Really good opening track and fantastic closing track. So I like the way this album is bookended. And most of the stuff in between here works very well too. I'm very, very late to Gorgoroth. I don't know their catalog very well at all. But this one I latched onto.
I like bands like Gorgoroth where there's like they have like 6 albums, so it's not intimidating. Like if you want to get into them, you don't feel like, oh shit, there's 30 albums to listen to here and 1,000 demos and all that.
To talk about a band that, though, it just couldn't, during the height of the black metal explosion, they were there, but they ran out of gas. They just couldn't get their shit together. It seems like they kind of petered out, and then they got back and was doing it again, and then the falling out and the court shit. It's just like,
they were on weird labels early on too, which didn't help. I'm sure didn't maybe have the same kind of visibility or distribution. So no, that's a good observation about them, Marty, because looking back, they're one of the stronger bands that came out of that first wave of Norway. But they definitely don't get put on the same tier as your Dark Thrones and Burzoms and Mayhems and Immortals and such. But they should be. It feels like they definitely should be on that same tier.
Yeah.
Agreed.
All right. Well, I should get some sort of royalty for as much as I've talked about this album, but it is an absolute favorite. Mind Wars, Holy Terror. The album starts off with Judas Reward, ends with Christian Resistance. This album is, for me, is complete banger after banger, riff after riff. And right away on Judas Reward, the speed is definitely a thing, but what trumps the speed is the quality of melodies that they're playing within the context of really fast. And then, of course, propped up to the front is Keith Dean, the vocalist, who somehow finds a melodic strand to grab a hold of and actually pitch sing through some amazingly complex and fast music. So yeah, Judas Reward, first time I heard this is the first album I heard by them. And, hair, as soon as Judas Reward kicks in, hair on the back of your neck stand up type of thing. And then Christian Resistance, I mean, the whole thing, the if you couldn't tell from the cover, the contempt for Christianity is the driving force behind probably not only the band name, but the concept of this album. And we end with the lyrical line, "None withstanding keep Christian resistance. All are martyred in their minds to all. Troopers of the baptism must fight. In the name of Jesus Christ we massacre." I mean, just in the way he sings it, he is like this, just firing off these words along to the beat, but still holding pitch, holding tune, holding key, and delivering the contempt through the lyrics. It's amazing. This band was amazing. Keith Dean was amazing. And if you have not heard Mind Wars by Holy Terror, the first track, the last track are absolute great, but everything in between, it is bookending a fantastic album. So I know Alan is more of the debut fan, but
I mean,
both are great. Both are great albums.
They're like one's 9.5 and the other's 9.25 or something.
Yeah.
You're splitting hairs.
Yep. Great band. All right. Ty, you're back.
All right. I'll go with one that I might have to say the G word. It might make people mad, but we'll talk about it. They kind of get passed in the metal circles, which I always love because all the people are like, "Oh, I don't like grunge, but I like that band." It's like, okay, then you like some grunge then. because they've released two of the most depressing, grungiest records of all time. This being one of them. So Alice in Chains is
It's a great record.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
1992 hard rock, grunge, whatever you want to call it. You open with Them Bones. I mean, the whole album's stellar, but you open with Them Bones. You get the immediate hook of Lane's scream. Jerry wrote the song in 7/8. The chorus is in 4/4, so automatically you're kind of picking up like this isn't like every other hit song out there on the radio.
Love that ascending riff too at the opening riff. Dun, 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 dun. Great.
Yeah, it sounds so much
Simple
it's just,
but cool.
Exactly, and it doesn't sound like a typical hit song from 92. It's one of the most darkest, depressing records ever written. And Them Bones tackles that subject of morality like right out of the gate. Basically we all just end up a pile of bones one day, no matter what you believe. So enjoy your time. That's basically the message of the song. And for a band that had already had their share of tragedy by this point, even, it's kind of a tongue-in-cheek, almost sarcastic look at it, but poignant nonetheless. They do a really good job at it. Filled with great riffs, like Marty was mentioning. One of my favorite Jerry Cantrell solos ever. Some great bass work by Mike Starr. Completely underrated guy. Obviously, he left the band after this, but
Wasn't
got
he in
kicked out.
Soundgarden for a minute too?
Mike Starr, no, he really didn't. I don't think so. He didn't really do
I
much.
could be wrong. I could be way off on that. Anyway.
He didn't really do much after this. But yeah, I've seen them 5 or 6 times live. They've opened the majority of the shows at Them Bones, so they know that it's great. It's not a note is wasted. Extremely catchy. It's under 3 minutes. Then you end with Wood, which like the bass intro to Wood rivals Peace Sells as like one of the most iconic bass intros ever of all time.
Great song too. Holy shit.
Yeah. And it's a tribute to Mother Love Bone frontman Andy Wood, who died of a heroin overdose. So, you listen to this entire album, you listen to those songs, and I've never done heroin. I never want to do heroin, but I feel like I've done a little bit of heroin just listening to Dirt sometimes, and how many times I've listened to it. Wood, Lane's vocals on the chorus is amazing. You get the harmonies with Jerry, which is their calling card. Wood's a timeless song, man. It's an ending to a terrific, terrific album. So, yeah, if for some reason you've never spun this and you're like, I don't want to listen to any of that Seattle shit, like this is, Facelift, this, and the follow-up are all tremendous albums, but Dirt is essential for sure.
Alex Witchfinder says he was in Days of the New after Alice in Chains.
There you go.
All right. Good pick.
Yeah, cool one. All right, this one goes out to Metal Overkill Dave in the chat because he already shouted it out. It was also one of the first things I thought of for this list. It's an obvious one, but again, sometimes you got to call out the classics. Iron Maiden with Power Slave. This album contains 4 of the most identifiable Iron Maiden tracks ever made. And oddly enough, it's the first 2 and the last 2. So the middle tracks are where you kind of get into some of the deep cuts, and people like a lot of those just fine. But you start with Aces High, which is about as strong an album opener as you'll find on any traditional heavy metal album. And it ends on Rime of the Ancient Mariner, which sets the template for every 9-10 minute epic story type of song for heavy metal for the next 42 years and counting. It's an interesting album structure because you also have Power Slave right before Rime of the Ancient Mariner. So ending the album on these 2 very long form epic tracks, which was not common in 1984, not something Maiden had attempted this length. They had some longer songs before, sure. They had a few in the 6-minute range with like Phantom of the Opera and Hallowed Be the Name. They knew how to do big epic tracks, but 2 of them in this duration was very unusual and could have been seen as kind of risky. Kudos to the label for letting them do it, not insisting that they break them up or trim one of them down or something like that. Power Slave is iconic and excellent, but for me, it pales next to Rime of the Ancient Mariner. That is the song. There are very few songs that can really just pull you into the story and make you live it line by line the way that song does. Marty, you've commented before on just the whole sort of middle bridge section where most of the instrumentation falls away and you just have the sound effects of like the ship creaking and such. You are on that boat. You are dying of thirst right alongside the protagonist. There is no telling how many thousands upon thousands of kids went to their high school library and looked that book up on the strength of this song. And that's what I want those types of songs to do. I want them to find an excellent way to take that story and set it to music and make people want to go out and learn more about the story. And it's funny because the album starts completely different with Aces High, followed with 2 Minutes to Midnight. You've got two just flat out rocking songs. Epic, great for sure, but straightforward, sing along, great melodies, great energy, normal length songs. They don't really set you up for what's going to happen at the end of the album where they're going to go all in on this grandiose vibe. But it really does work. Again, sometimes I complain about longer songs. They work great in this context. I think the duration of those songs just reflects the size and scale of Egyptian archaeology and architecture. You need this album to have some giant monolithic songs on it because that's the whole theme for this era of Iron Maiden. So I dig the long songs. I dig the short songs at the beginning. Yeah, the album starts and ends with classics that every Iron Maiden fan knows by heart. Had to be picked. And Dave, cheers. You called it out before I could even get to it. Good job, man.
Yeah, and Milo, he threw this out in the chat. I'm like, God, I didn't grab it. How could I not grab it? So here's another super obvious one for me, but Waken the Guardian. We've got The Sorceress, beginning of the album, and ends with Exodus, which ends on a very emotionally charged, beautiful song. But The Sorceress leads this album off, and if there was ever a soundtrack for, a witch in North America, I think this song would be it. I was just reading through the lyrics as Alan was going through his thing, and you want to talk about awesome, amazingly penned lyrics, and these verses are super dense. I mean, John Arch, he plasters a lot of this music with his vocals, but the lyrics are so well done, and the topic is so cool, and the twist he takes on the whole concept is very interesting. The atmosphere and the music and the recording, it all kind of piles into the mental image. You can see the woman with the cloak, maybe carrying a torch to see through the night, finding her way. And I don't know, it's absolutely killer. And it, like I said, ends with a very emotionally charged, that song and, Guardian are two tearjerker songs for me. This whole album is just perfect. It's a perfect album. And this is my hang up with this band. Yeah, they continued on. They became more proggy. They've become better musicians. They became more creative. I was too hung up on the greatness of this record to be okay with the change. You know what I mean? And even though we did that deep dive with Jeff, I listened to a lot of the stuff and I appreciate it. It's so talented, but I feel guilty for listening to it. I feel like I'm cheating on the true, cheating on the true Fates Warning. And I just prefer John Arch to Ray Alder. That's another thing. But yeah, Waken the Guardian. What an absolute great album from start to finish. But the two songs that bookended are fantastic, fantastic tracks. All right. Ty.
Yeah. I need to get a non-cassette copy of that.
You do.
So yep. I need to find one. I never run into it. I never run into any Faith Warning, to be honest with you. And I like all the later stuff too, because I'm a big Rush and Dream Theater guy, and that's the vibes they were capturing. So I'll kind of piggyback off Alan. There's somebody said in the chat, there's a lot of Maiden you could probably pick for this topic. They were kind of masters of that, of starting and ending an album really well. And I saw them on the Somewhere Back in Time tour when they did Rime of the Ancient Mariner live, and that was just obviously amazing. But I'm gonna go with Somewhere in Time. Not my favorite Maiden album. I think Seventh Son of a Seventh Son is their best record they ever did, but that's a different episode. You get the opener, Caught Somewhere in Time. It's that guitar synth to open up, and they opened up the last tour with that song, and just hearing that song live was amazing. You get that guitar synth to open up, and it immediately signals like you're in for a new album. You're in for a new Maiden. Power Slave ended that era. We're into a new era now. You build into a massive Bruce vocal. He's got a bit more gruffness to his vocal here, which I enjoy, and he kind of got that as they went on to into doing all the touring they did for sure. And you get a super catchy chorus. You get the galloping along for 7 minutes, some classic Steve Harris work. It's an awesome track, man, that fits perfectly. It captures the vibe of the album, the Blade Runner vibes they were going for. And like I said, it was awesome to see him open with live. And then you get Alexander the Great, which is basically like the baby brother to Rime of the Ancient Mariner. And it's completely overshadowed by that. But they played it live last time I saw them, and that was the first time they ever did. And it was awesome, man. I think it's a stellar tune, and I think it's really underrated too. And it's back when Steve Harris could actually write an 8-minute tune that didn't need to be trimmed in half. I love Maiden, but that's not even a hot take at this point. But he really could write an amazing 8 to 15 minute song, and I don't know what the hell happened, but it happened. Yeah, Alexander has some great dual leads on there. Another awesome Bruce vocal. A bit more restrained too than the other epics, which I think it lends itself to the history retelling of the story. Fittingly epic, cinematic ride for its topic, and like I said, awesome and great to hear it live as well. So yeah, there's a number. The only one I almost picked Power Slave, and I was like, man, Number of the Beast, and I'm like Invaders, and I'm like Invaders is not good, but
Invaders,
yeah. Tim picked Number of the Beast in the chat a little bit earlier, but yeah, and he admitted, he's like, yeah, Invaders is, some folks are going to disqualify this because of Invaders, which is fair.
All right, Alan.
All right, I forget who shouted this out. It was one of the first comments as we got going tonight. Apologies, but it was one, I thought of it the other night, literally while I was laying down, and got back out of bed, wandered through the house, like, I must put that on the stack now because it's absolutely deserves to be there, and I may not remember it tomorrow. It is Judas Priest with Painkiller. Painkiller, the title track, is the lead track, and it's become one of the real iconic songs in their catalog.
Yeah,
just the first opening little drum section from Travis Scott, people instantly know that song. I have caught myself just randomly tapping that out on desks and stuff in class, and people look at me like, Painkiller. I mean, it's that identifiable. And it sets the tone for the entire album. Just like Ty was saying, that was a new era for Iron Maiden. Absolutely all synths were used in the creation of this record. This is a new era for Priest. They were sort of done with their mid to late 80s party drug dalliance, and it was time to get back to business. And they wrote a real barn burner of an album, and Painkiller shows you that yes, we're done with the parental guidance songs, and there will be no cover of Johnny Be Good on here or anything like that. We are absolutely just going to focus. They had tinkered with it a little bit on the previous album, to be fair. Tracks like Ram It Down did sort of preview what they could do here, but this time they made the whole album that way. Everything on here is fantastic, in my opinion. I do know there's a section of the Judas Priest fan base that doesn't enjoy this album, that it's a little too different from the classic era. It sounds a little too modern, moving into kind of a power metal direction. I get that. If you'd been listening to Priest since 1976 and loved all those albums, and then you heard this, I'm sure it was really, really jarring. That wasn't an issue for me because of my age. Painkiller being the epic opener, then the closer, One Shot at Glory, is this massive triumphant send-off to wrap the album up just brilliantly, because they've done all of these great power speed metal anthems. You have one or two change-ups along the way, such as Touch of Evil, which was the lead single they did a video for. But then you get to One Shot at Glory, and that is like the perfect song to just ride off into the sunset at 100 miles an hour to. is the perfect way to close out this album. It's all fists in the air. It's all foot to the floor. It's the perfect track from this album to end it. On an album chock full of great tracks, nothing else would have fit in that final slot like this one. So yeah, Painkiller absolutely nails the opening. It comes out with All Guns Blazing. Not really, because that track comes a little bit later, but it comes out with Painkiller, All Guns Blazing. See, people who know the track list are laughing right now.
Yeah, that's
Everyone else is like, what the hell is he doing? But yes, you come out with Painkiller, which has become the most iconic song probably of Priest's catalog post Screaming for Vengeance, maybe. I don't know. We'd have to think about that. But definitely the most iconic song they've done from the 90s forward. And then One Shot at Glory, yes. That's a chef's kiss kind of way to wrap up an album that is all just fuel, speed, nitro straight ahead. Love the album. One of my favorites from Priest. And love the way it starts. Love the way it ends.
all right. Well, this is easily my favorite Enslaved album, Eld. God, the special thing about this record is what's his name? Harold Helgeson, the drummer. Very busy drummer, but plays with a lot of feeling. And I love how his kit is produced. It's so punchy and it's pushed kind of forward in the mix. I love it. It really makes Ivar's frantic riff writing style seem that much more like it's burning. It's awesome. But this starts off with 793 Slaget Lindisfarne, which is the Battle of Lindisfarne. Complete battery worship here. You got the the acoustic guitar comes along. Grudela is singing in his clean tone. Very epic, very triumphant. It feels like it could have been a track on Hammerheart. Except the music is a little bit, I think Enslaved were a little bit more, interesting with their songwriting styles here, but the track does get heavy. But it's just a very atmospheric, triumphant opening to a great album. When that warmth of the acoustic guitar falls away and the rest of the album picks up, it's a bit jarring because it is such a raw but punchy production. And then the last track, like I said, it again with the frantic riffing, the speed, Grudela is just spitting the venom, and the track does kind of go. It reintroduces the acoustic guitar in there. There's like a chanting style and the clean singing again. This is just a fantastic record. And it's kind of funny how it seems to always be overlooked in Enslaved's catalog. Whenever people talk about early Enslaved, it's Frost. It's Frost this, Frost that. Fine. Now the album is cool too, but I think they got Ivar started figuring out the songwriting a little bit more, the direction a little bit more. Of course, they started to get a lot more prog influence as they went. I also really like Below the Lights. There's a lot of really good stuff on Below the Lights. Isa, another favorite. Great band. I don't love their entire catalog, but they are completely a unique voice in the Norwegian sound and style and scene, I meant to say. And I got to respect them for that for sure. Good band. Great record. That's such a fantastic record.
I think that one does. I think it's sandwiched between two albums that get more attention. Like you said, Frost before it, but also Bloodheim after that is a favorite of many people. And so I think Eld can get a little lost in between the two.
It's a bummer because it rips. It's a great record.
Yeah, it really is. No, and this is a nice reissue that they did. I want to say this came out for a record store day one year. That's super clean. Super nice copy.
Did they accidentally submit the files as grayscale instead of CMYK?
Maybe.
That's a very record store day thing to do.
Yeah. That classic logo too. Love it.
Yeah.
Love it. Great album. All right. I'm going to go with, if you're going to come over to my channel, you're going to hear about a few bands. You're going to hear about them often. And this is one of those bands you're going to hear about. And they are loved by a lot of metalheads, but let's just talk about Rush here a little bit. So Rush's Hemispheres, 1978, their most proggiest album they ever did, probably their heaviest album as well. Like any progressive metal album you've ever listened to, any progressive death metal album you ever listened to, they owe a huge debt to this album. The opener, Cygnus X1 Book 2 Hemispheres, 18-minute epic. It's the sequel to the closer of Farewell to Kings. So that's really cool for the nerds out there. It's a 6-parter of a song, perfectly captures what 70s prog rush was about. It's probably their peak of their abilities as well. The story is a really cool sci-fi tale mixed with philosophy, and it's one of Neil's probably coolest pen stories, one that I really love, because they only did really one true concept record, but they did a lot of this, like sequels to songs and stuff. If you appreciate bass, you have to hear this, because the bass is basically a lead instrument. You get really good hard rock riffs, great acoustic passages. Geddy's voice probably at its best here. Becomes a little less grating when they get more poppy with the next record and then Moving Pictures. But an absolute amazing song. The music serves the story. It's not just there for them to flex their muscle and their chops, but yeah, it's a great song. And then you end on the band's first instrumental and maybe their best and most infamous, La Villa Strangiato. It's a multi-part piece, and it was all inspired by Alex Lifeson's dreams that he had, which are super funny, and he would explain these dreams to people and to the band, and they'd be like, oh, we're going to make songs about this. That song nearly broke the band. They were like, we can't do another album this progressive again. And then Permanent Waves was the follow-up. They also wanted to record the song in one take and not piece together. So it took them longer to record that entire song than it did Fly By Night, their second album.
I remember that quote from them, yeah.
Which is absolutely insane. It's a stunning piece of music, though. It's well worth listening to. If you've never listened to Rush, I would suggest those two songs. If you can get into those two songs, you're in for the proggy Rush, and then you should be in for like Moving Pictures and Permanent Waves and stuff. And if you like bass, you have to listen to this because, like I said, Geddy's bass is front and center. Neil's obviously the shining star of the band, but I think Geddy and Alex, or especially Alex, is seriously underrated. But awesome song, amazing record. One of the best prog albums of all time, too. People always say yes, Close to the Edge, but and then you get nice man ass on there too. That everybody, so for all the people who love that, not judging if you do. So there you go. Yep, Rush Hemispheres.
All right, Alan.
Cool pick. All right, another Norwegian one. Seem to be hitting that.
I got a bunch of it here.
Area. Yeah, pretty frequently. I feel this one is pretty obvious, but absolutely fits the bill. Mayhem, De Mysteries Dom Satanas. Opens with Funeral Fog, which was an older song, of course, but this time out, of course, you have a different vocalist. This was everybody's introduction with, Attila, and nobody really sings quite like Attila does on this album. And I think most folks enjoy it. I'm sure there's some contention out there that feels the song is only correct if Dead sings it.
They'd be wrong.
I like the older versions too, like on Live in Leipzig. I do like Dead's renditions of Funeral Fog. It's one of the most recognizable, iconic songs in the Mayhem catalog. It was an interesting one to start the album with, maybe because it was so well known, maybe it was expected, but take the older track that everybody knows and loves and have such a unique new vocal take on it. It was an interesting choice that could have been off-putting to folks who didn't see it coming. Nevertheless, I love the way Attila does it on here. By the end of that song, you already know you're in for a pretty wild ride just on the vocal performance, not even touching on the great instrumentation that's going on underneath it. But then the album also ends with the title track, De Mysteries Dom Satanas. And this one I feel is maybe Attila's biggest shining moment on the album. He's great throughout, but this one, he gets this big booming voice that reverberates when they do the chorus for the track, and it's over the top, but in an incredibly good way. It's not over the top cheesy or over the top just trying to be extreme or overly fast or anything. It's just like, this song is going into a sonic space we have not done on this album. We have not done on any previous recording. And anybody else that wants to try following in our footsteps, hey, good luck with that. Let's see if you can top it. And I'm not sure anybody ever has. So you start with a new twist on the Mayhem song of all time, and you ended on a title track that really just has this grandiose mad monk fully reveling in his vocal insanity. Can't ask for much more than that to start an album and close an album. So yes, Mayhem's De Mysteries Dum Satanas, classic album. We all know the backstory of it. We don't need to dwell on it long, but it definitely fits the bill for opening up in a fantastic fashion and closing in just a completely insane performance.
Agreed. Yep. All right. Well, I had to cheat and go past the intro here, but I don't feel that bad about it. Corner, R.I.P. After we get through a brief piano intro, which with the synthesizer giving like an airy breath behind the piano line, it feels suddenly very classical, very atmospheric, very cinematic. And then we get into Reborn Through Hate. I love this record. This might be my favorite Corner record, which is saying a lot because I love No More Color. I love Punishment as well. New one's good, not this caliber though. They've changed a bit over the years, but Reborn Through Hate, right away they hit you with a very catchy chorus. Reborn Through Hate will smash your neck until you die. But then right away you are noticing how technically charged and talented the riffs are, the songs are. And as a three-piece, it holds together remarkably well. And that atmosphere carries throughout the record the way this thing was recorded. And then we have Totentanz at the end, another very intense ending to this album. I don't know, man. These guys are roadies for Celtic Frost. You would think a little bit more Celtic Frostisms would have rubbed off on these guys. And even the
Tom even sang
on the demo, a Death Cult demo, which is cool, but the music still is very much its own thing. I don't know, man. This is a classic record for me, and Reborn Through Hate and Totentanz, great bookends to an amazing album.
Nice call, Marty. Yeah, I always love that. Yeah, Reborn Through Hate will smash your face until you die. It's like, okay.
Yeah. Yep. Awesome. All right, Ty.
Yeah, that Death Cult demo's in the deluxe edition of the new album. So it's pretty cool they put that in there.
Oh, really? That's weird.
Cool. Yeah. If you buy the two disc, the one I have, it's it's in there just as a bonus disc. So it's pretty cool. Alrighty, let's go. Let's stick with some black metal here, but we'll go to Sweden this time. Let's talk about this album. I'll pull up the cassette here. Dawn with Slaughter Son, and I don't know if it was one of you guys that talked about this, but that's what got me into this.
Oh, we've very much have talked about that album a lot over the years. Yeah.
If we hoped you found it, that's great to know.
Yeah.
Awesome.
No, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, Now in the World opens, like, the track's just fast, very melodic too. It's super fast but melodic riffs.
Oh yeah,
it's very impressive.
Soaring melodic riffs.
Yep. And you immediately recognize this song. It's not just aggression that's moving the song forward. The melody really suits it as well. Really fits the depressing themes that they go for throughout the entire album. And it's easy to compare like any of these bands to Dissection, obviously. But Dawn, they were definitely doing something different with their lyrical content, with their melodies, the epic scale that they create with it. The opener's a really great highlight of that. And I feel like if you can get into the opener, like, you're going to love the entire album. You're also greeted with one of the best black metal productions of all time. I truly believe that. I mentioned him before, but Peter Taktron, again, dude's a genius. Obviously, he's worked with Bloodbath, too. But yeah, it's cold, it's calculating, still feels very real. A great drum sound too, audible bass too on a 1998 black metal album. It's really impressive. Just a masterpiece of a song. And then you get Malediction Murder to close it. Again, a massive drum sound. Absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
It's a great closer, kind of sums up what you've just listened to. Melodic riffs, massive, relentless drums, great atmosphere. 11-minute song, so it is a little long, but it makes you feel like by the end of it, like you're headed for a mental breakdown, which I think is kind of what they were going for. You also get some brief acoustic moments too that kind of break it up, keep you on your toes. But yeah, great black metal vocals. Absolutely love and adore this album. Super good.
Aaron with the hot take: audible bass equals commercial black metal.
Okay.
Yep. All right, Alan.
Okay. This one I didn't think of right away, and I should have, because it fits the bill perfectly. My two favorite songs on the album are the first track and the last track. It is Motorhead's Orgasmatron. This is a weird album in their catalog. This is where you're definitely out of the classic early stuff. The classic lineup is Long Fractured. You've already done one album, the Brian Robertson album.
Another Perfect Day.
Yeah, and then there's another.
Love it.
Yes, and then there's a little hiatus. There's actually they take a break for a couple albums. They come back on a different label, and you get Orgasmatron, which has a very mid 80s production sound to it and such. So it feels different in a lot of ways. It was also my introduction to Motorhead, which is a weird place to get introduced to Motorhead, but it worked out okay. Anyway, it does start and end with two classic tracks. The opener is Deaf Forever, and I love this song to death. This is the kind of song, if I ever, have to, die by, running, screaming into battle and just, beating things with sticks until someone, caves in my soft melon head, this is the song I want to just be screaming at full volume. Deaf Forever absolutely rules. Just, this, huge riff to it. Very simple. It's got that, again, mid 80s electronic sounding production to it that makes it feel a little buzzy. But I adore that song. It's the perfect ride into battle and Valhalla awaits kind of track. A lot of the tracks in the middle of this album I'm okay with, but they're not personal favorites. There's probably one in here somewhere I would put if I was doing like my own Motorhead playlist. But you get to the closer and you've got Orgasmatron, which has become one of their signature songs over the years. It's just this unusual track for Motorhead. It's a slower track. It's got a sort of doomy, more sinister vibe to it. It lurches forward in a very methodical pace compared to what you're used to for most Motorhead. I don't know if the song got there on its own. Sepultura, of course, covered this at the height of their popularity, which probably didn't hurt matters any, let's be fair. So yeah, I don't know how much of Orgasmatron's popularity was just it made it into the set list and never left, and how much of it is the Sepultura influence. And I do like the Sepultura version. I thought they did a decent job on it. They don't change it very much, but it's Motorhead. There's only so much you can change without just completely wrecking the song where it wouldn't even... If you're going to turn it into some kind of 13-minute prog masterpiece, why'd you pick Motorhead to cover? That just doesn't quite add up. So yeah, Orgasmatron, it's in the middle of that 80s catalog. It's not going to be at the top of most people's lists, I don't think, but certainly not a bad album. And it has two defining tracks. So I can't fault it. I keep it on the shelf. And again, as my first Motorhead album, I've always had a little bit of a soft spot for it, although I can recognize it's not on the same level as a lot of the albums before, and even some of the albums that came after were a bit stronger than that one. Deaf Forever.
Right on. Okay, well, talking about classics, Black Sabbath, Heaven and Hell.
Oh, good pick.
We start off with Neon Nights, end with Lonely Is the Word. Again, ending... You start with a banger. Neon Nights is, 3:49. It's short. Introduces Ronnie to the Ozzy, the Ozzy fans, and really, it's a match made in heaven. See what I did there? And this album is just damn near. I have a hard time picking between this and Mob Rules for favorites. It changes. The kid and I, he got a copy of it off of Whatnot, so we were driving around town running errands, cranking it super loud, and seeing him excited about how good this is. It's just a testament to timeless music, and you don't need modern trends to have something be worthwhile many, many, many decades after it was released. So it's this is an absolute classic record, and Ronnie James Dio and Tony Iommi together. It was the same with, Dio and Ritchie Blackmore. That was a great union as well. It's just Dio makes a band better. Dio just makes a band better.
Sounds like a butter commercial or something.
Yeah.
Your toast a little dry. Try spreading on some warm, creamy Dio.
Yeah.
Dio makes everything
a little
better.
bit better. Yeah. But yeah,
and then you have Mob Rules kicks on for the fade out.
Right. I don't know much more to say. Lonely is the word. It's interesting to end on more of a sullen, somber ending, but again, it gives Ronnie a little more chance to really dig in and vamp a little bit with his voice and really hit some higher tones for him and really sow the emotion. I love this record. What a great snapshot in time that is. And nothing against the Ozzy era. I love the Ozzy era too, but god damn, maybe it's a different band with Dio. It kind of is. It shouldn't have been called Black Sabbath maybe, but it's my favorite Black Sabbath. It just is. I even am really coming around on the Martin era too. Anyway, that's another topic as well.
Marty, that's an interesting point on them wrapping that up with kind of the slower, more sullen song, because they did the same thing on Mob Rules.
They did.
That one also wraps up in similar fashion, and I feel like there's probably at least a couple of Dio albums that did the same thing.
Yep.
So I wonder if he went through a phase where that was kind of like his idea of like, here's how you kind of wind down the album, but still have a really good song.
Yeah, you start off hitting them hard, and then you add a little class and a little, the album ebbs and flows, and that's what you need to keep people interested. And that's why these albums stand the test of time, because the composition, the thought that goes into it, it's more than just verse, chorus, bridge, verse, chorus. There's a journey within the songs and within the whole way the album plays out, and that's what you need. Absolutely. These old timers knew how to do the shit right. They just did.
They also had too the limitations of vinyl, so they couldn't just wank on for an hour and a half like a lot of modern bands do. Because we got to fill the CD, or now we don't even have CD limitations. Yep. So it's tight, concise. I always thought ending on the title track would have been like a better, like bolder choice, but I thought about both of those as well. I love both.
You know what? That's a good idea, but I do like the way this. I mean, Heaven and Hell is kind of right in the middle of the album. It's at track 4 out of 8 tracks.
Yeah.
It would make a great ender, and because it is an ender on Solitude Eternus' Adagio album, it's the last track on that one, and it absolutely crushes as a closer. It probably helps that the rest of that Solitude Eternus album is kind of boring, but
I would bet. I have the album in front of me, but Heaven and Hell probably ends side 1, doesn't it? So that would make sense. Wishing Well would make sense being the first track. Let me look. I can look it up real quick.
Yeah.
You have a more upbeat track starting off side 2. Of course, Die Young is a good start as well. Heaven and Hell, where are you at? Heaven and Hell.
That's not Heaven and Hell. That's Never Say Die.
It is. Yep. Heaven and Hell ends side A, and side B starts with Wishing Well and goes into Die Young, Walk Away, which is a great song.
They were just kind of replicating it on side B.
Yep.
Kind of the same vibes as side A.
Side A, side B.
Super interesting.
They each they start off ass kicking and they end more introspective or melancholic, I guess. Anyway. Classic.
Alrighty. I'm going to go with, I was trying to get this going in the Discord today. I don't know if I'm trying to do Cowed and Brewed Fridays. So maybe, I don't know.
Great album.
Yeah, 2013, Echoes of Battle. They're the only album I know. Isn't the one of the dudes in Visigoth? Isn't that his other band? Which,
yeah, he's got a ton of projects.
Yeah, which
like in Visigoth is one. Yes,
isn't Galabrade one of them too? Or
yes, Galabrade's
another really good one.
Super like drop this and then just I'm done with this. Crazy to me. Artistic people are insane to me. Because like if I made this album, I'd be like, okay, I'm just gonna make this album over and over again.
You know, the thing of it is with him, though, I'm not saying anything bad about the guy. He's super talented, but the Galabrade is kind of an Agalloch band. That is a summoning band.
Yeah,
and the Visigoth is the epic metal, kind of Manila Road-ish. So, I mean, I want to hear him. I don't want to hear him. I want to hear him. I mean, that Caladan Brood record is amazing summoning worship. Amazing.
The thing is, though, maybe they would have been able to do that if they would keep going with some of the projects, but the projects don't go long enough to even put himself in there, maybe.
Right.
But yeah, like you said, I think it's probably the best summoning worship ever. To me, I don't know them all, but it's really great.
There's even two on that LP. There's even two summoning covers.
Exactly.
Special on the LP version of it.
Yeah, so I'm kind of cheating here. Book of the Fallen is the ender. But yeah, City of Azure Fire, epic 10-minute piece, perfectly sums up what you're going to listen to, matches the album cover, which I love. And it's a long album, but it goes by pretty quickly. If you like real drums, go somewhere else. This is not the album for you. But if you like feeling, to me, I know this is inspired by Steven Erikson, the Malazan Book of the Fallen series. I'm not familiar with that, but I'm a big Witcher fan. So like if CG Projekt Red wants to get these guys to do the soundtrack to Witcher 4, I'd be all for that. But yeah, you get immersed into the vast landscape, the fantasy world. And you get some amazing key work, great clean vocals too, kind of shockingly good as well. Good harsh vocals, awesome melancholic guitar work, builds to an awesome conclusion for the opener. And the song is a lot like an onion. There's a lot of layers there. And really, the more you peel off, I guess, the more you cry, I guess. But yeah, it's 10 minutes, but it doesn't feel it. Book of the Fallen. Song feels enormous. It is enormous. It's 15 minutes long, but you open with some awesome clean vocals, really good keys, gradually builds. You get the tremolo picking. You get some awesome fake drums. Doesn't feel 15 minutes long. It doesn't fall into the genre tropes like repetition, which I appreciate. It's a gradual build. Continually evolves until you get to some truly awesome sections toward the end, and the track basically summarizes the entire album, which I love with a good closer, like I said before. I don't know, maybe this is better than some of the modern summoning, might be a hot take, but because it doesn't fall into that repetition, and the dynamic vocals with the clean and the harsh really add a ton to that, not falling into the repetition. And guitar work too keeps things interesting. Great imagery. The last 3 minutes and 30 seconds of the last track is just like essential. And I love when you can look at, I'm pretty good at knowing what I like now, in my older age. And you look at this album cover and you know exactly what you're getting into. And I appreciate that. It's like, we're not trying to hide anything we're doing here. So I love that album. And I wish we got to follow it.
That would have been cool.
That would be cool. Because, I have not read the Books of Mazan, but it's one of those worlds where the author covers something like 33,684 years worth of history of that world. So it's not like you follow just the same characters, on their little adventure. You're following like 130 generations of people in that world. So there's more than enough material to delve into.
Keep going.
Sure. Yep. Hey, and Marty, you know what would have made that Caladan album even better? A map that shows you that world.
Yeah, it would have. The nerdy stuff, man. Come on.
Exactly. I mean, you're trying to keep 33,000 years of history straight in your head. It wouldn't hurt to give us, a little bit of north, south, east, west, so we can see where these empires rise and fall. Just saying, maps are useful.
Yeah.
He's quiet because he knows I'm right.
I opened the map once and put it away. I'm like, well, I'm never going to look at that again. But I like the record, so
I came at it from the record label guy. Like, you want a standalone mini poster map? You open up that map, you look at it, and it's kind of dumb. It doesn't give you much information. It's like a drawing. I don't even remember there being words on the page. I just looked at it and went, man, I'd be furious if I was the guy who had to put this out.
Okay, well, I will give you that from the record label's perspective. having the band request the map would probably be highly irritating. And no, I think the map was a fun, cool inclusion, to be clear.
Yeah.
But
It would have been cool to put it like, where you open up the center of the CD book. The map would have fit there perfectly. It'd have been great right there, but no, it had to be a standout, fold out, 8-panel, fucking whatever.
anybody can put it in the middle of a booklet. A monkey could do that.
Yeah, it would have been
make your release
a more affordable monkey. Monkey's got to eat. Anyway.
Monkey could eat the map.
Eat the map. Yeah, we'll get a goat. We'll get a liminal goat, and would have been fine.
We're straying here. We're straying pretty hard. All right. This one may be somewhat controversial, but I think it's actually a good fit for this. I'm going to choose Guns N' Roses, Appetite for Destruction. This one opens with Welcome to the Jungle. I understand most of us have heard that song more than enough in our lifetime. We don't really need to hear it again. No. Nevertheless, it is the song, perhaps more than any other, that defines my particular generation. Not Marty's. Marty's 5 years older than me. There's enough separation there where this probably wasn't much of an impact, I'm going to guess, on Marty's crew. But with my class coming through intermediate and into high school, this was the soundtrack. Welcome to the Jungle was the song. So you're starting with one of the most iconic songs of the last half of the 1980s for anything that's remotely hard and heavy. So yes, the album starts well. The interesting part's the album closer. It ends on Rocket Queen, which is a strange track on this one. I always liked the song, but I always had a little trouble sort of processing the song because it feels a little out of place. It almost always struck me as a B-side or something. And then talking with...
Hard to process with a boner.
No, I was talking with Philip over at Chromium Dioxide. We had him on a couple of years ago. And I think we were talking about this, but it was after the show was over. Somehow we just got to chatting about things. And he mentioned that, Rocket Queen was one of his favorite songs on the album. I was like, oh, okay, that's really interesting. Why Rocket Queen? Because it is that unusual track. And what he pointed out makes sense. It's a weird song. It's different structure. It's not as heavy or as aggressive or anything. But it also ends the album on this kind of oddly positive, uplifting note, with some of the last lines being, oh, baby, I love you and stuff. Whereas, most of them, it's definitely wallowed a bit in the sleazy side of things, which is okay. That's why it did so well. That's one of the reasons people loved it. But Rocket Queen has a little different tone to the song. And it was an interesting way to close the album with a song that isn't just another Night Train or another, it's not a sappy ballad like Sweet Child of Mine. It's not another one that's more crude. It's not one that's meant to just, shock or anything like that. It's a different track, but it's almost ends on this kind of high note for the album. And so you start with the band's signature song. I guess some would say Sweet Child of Mine. I've always thought Welcome to the Jungle was the Guns N' Roses song, much more so than Sweet Child. And then you end on this just really cool, different track. So starts well, ends incredibly well. I will stand by my pick of Appetite for Destruction, Guns N' Roses. Someone had mentioned Guns N' Roses in the chat earlier, but I think they picked one of the Use Your Illusion albums, which for some reason I never connected with those. I always felt like if you took the best songs from both and put it into one album, you'd have had a good album, but spread across two, it felt a little bloated. But that was just my take on it. They obviously did quite well with those. All right, Marty, that's enough GNR. We'll pass it over to you.
Take us back to Norway here with some more black metal debut. This is Kronet til Konga by Dodheim Skard. My favorite album by this band. There's a brief intro to this, but it goes into a Slakta Good, and right away you are introduced to a sound that is It sounds very Norwegian, but yet doesn't sound like anybody in Norway during the time of this coming out. I don't remember exactly. This came out in 93 or 5. I can't read the font. But yeah, you got Fenris on bass here, which is kind of cool because the bass is very predominant in the mix. And he isn't just playing root notes here. He's got little folky melody lines or bass lines he's playing throughout there. And, you know, even though this band can do the standard blasting, you know, the tremolo riff styled riffs, they do go into a folk pagan territory where songs, there's a little bit of a bounce to them, which we get on the final track on here, When Heaven Ends. There's just a kind of an interesting march to the song. And again, Alderon, I believe, is the singer on here. Vic Otnick does backing vocals, and yep, Alderon does the lead vocals here.
Like the planet?
Aldrahn, Alderon. It's not Alderon.
Spelled different, but it's probably pronounced the same.
Yeah.
That's no moon.
That's a space station. His voice is kind of a shouted style, which again is a bit different when everybody is so like razor throat screaming in most of the bands during this era. Alderon, he's got, like I said, a shouted. It gives it the album a bit of a different vibe as well. So I've always loved this record, and they quickly changed. They got a little bit more, I guess, traditional black metal style for their area with the Satanic Art EP, and then Diabolical Possession, I think, was the second full length. Sounds like a different band in a lot of ways. And then, of course, they went completely electronic on 666 International and got weird, which the Norway thing, that was one of the arcs you could spin off onto, was going weird, and they did. Norweird, I guess they call it. That's what our friends at Radical Research call it, Norweird. But yeah, check out this if you've never heard Chronet Til Konga. Very good album.
Yeah, that's a cool one. I've tried 666 International a couple of times, and I just feel like I need to write out of order across my forehead because my brain will not process that album.
Yeah. All right, Ty.
All right, we took this long. Might as well do it now. Halloween. Went with 2021, right? Yeah, 2021 feels like it was just yesterday. The self-titled, you get Out for the Glory to open it. Awesome track. It's, you know, Michael Wyckoff pen tune, and then you get Kiski immediately. And I feel like that's a choice. It's just Kiski and Hansen on there. It's just immediately telling the fans, like, okay, this is like kind of a Keepers era song. I think it was very intentional that they did that. Works tremendously. E-Sale sounds great live. Saw him last month. Amazing. Band's in top form here to me. Kai's voice is a hook in itself. Like, I like the way his smoker's voice is kind of aged, and, you know, all the alcohol and everything else.
It's rough.
It is, but it adds.
rough.
I like it. It adds some color, especially when you're listening to it on the albums.
Yeah.
It's a totally different tone, obviously, than Kiski and Andy. Song rips. To me, it rivals a lot of the classic Halloween stuff. Chorus is uplifting, heroic, and catchy. The song drives forward for nearly the entire 7 minutes. Great celebration piece of the band. And then you close with Skyfall, if you don't count the bonus tracks that they always seem to give you. But Skyfall, one of the band's best epics. I put it up there with Halloween and Keeper. The combination of all three singers makes it probably the most unique epic they've ever done, too. It's 12 minutes, but super catchy. Song moves between the fast-paced sections. You get all the melodic choruses that Halloween's known for. Nice progressive interludes, too. Great guitar harmonies that they're known for. It's really kind of like a greatest hits track. Like, here's what we do well. Enjoy. Yeah. Also, too, shout out to Marcus, his bass on here, and also Danny's drumming on Skyfall. Excellent. And I'm really glad that they went back to great album covers, too. So,
it's been long overdue. They've struggled for many a decade with album covers. All right, Alan.
All right, let's see. Well, this one's been waiting long enough. We'll go ahead and we'll get Rust in Peace brought up. We've talked about this album a ton over the years, but the opening and closing songs are highlights on an album that is just loaded with
highlights.
Yeah, you've got, Holy Wars, The Punishment Due becomes one of the staples of Megadeth. Everyone knows the song, loves it. And again, it's a new era for Megadeth on this album. They're a bit cleaned up. The lineup's now really tight, extremely talented. The jump from the previous album to this album is significant, to say the least. And just within that first song, there's so many moving parts, so many changes. It works fantastically. And of course, the closer, Rust in Peace, Polaris. Interesting. A lot of the albums we've mentioned tonight have had the title track as one of the two. This would be another example of that. This one, now, like you mentioned before, one of the albums earlier, Marty, this one does benefit from the setup of Dawn Patrol right before it. Some people complain about Dawn Patrol. I think it's really cool. Just this neat, creepy little thing. But it sets up Rust in Peace, Polaris perfectly. And yeah, that track really, Dave could have just stopped at that point. His legacy would have been cemented if he never did anything, if he had just retired on the strength of that album. Of course, you have kind of nonstop parade of hits for the rest of the album. Doesn't hurt matters any. But Holy Wars has just, you really one of those songs that takes you on a journey. You get the little Eastern parts. It's, you're following again with the character, like we talked about with Rime of the Ancient Mariner and some of the other tracks earlier. It really sucks you into the tale that Dave is weaving there. And yeah, Rust in Peace. I love the way he spits out some of the lyric lines. I spread disease like a dog, and just like that. He puts all the emphasis exactly where it needs to be there. Dave, no one's ever going to accuse him of being one of the greatest singers in heavy metal history, but sometimes he really does nail it. And Rust in Peace is one of his best vocal performances. So it had to be mentioned here. Easy pick, I think, but nonetheless, very deserving.
Perfect.
Rust in Peace.
All right. Well, Ty broke the seal. I was holding my cards, but we'll start here. Walls of Jericho. Yeah, we got the Walls of Jericho, London Bridges thing falling down, but I skipped that because I cheat. And,
I think that's fair for that. Yeah.
Ride the Sky is an iconic song. It is probably one of the better songs written. A little bit of speed metal, whole lot of power. Mostly speed metal, let's be honest here. What an amazing song. Iconic to this day, never gets old. And of course, we end with the social political How Many Tears, which is another fantastic song, a little bit longer, a lot more emotional turns in it, but still those epic melody lines, which Halloween have always been known for. And we might as well just continue on here with Keeper of the Seven Keys. We start off with I'm Alive. Obviously, this is the album that introduces Michael Kiska to the band, and we have a more Halford, Bruce Dickinson-esque vocalist, one of the best that ever done it. Let's be honest. Oh, Jeff Tate, we can throw that in there too. He's in the mix as well here.
Yeah.
But what a great start to an amazing album, and they end with the Halloween, which was the video for the album, and is this? Halloween was one of the videos for this.
Yep. Mm-hmm. I think it was an abbreviated version.
Yeah, it was a very abbreviated version. Yep, which they had to do with Skyfall as well. And it's just it's a Kai song. It seems like Kai songs are always the ones that get picked and they have to chop them down a bit. I don't know. This is absolute classic. And then, of course, we're going to Keepers 2 with Eagle Fly Free. First time I heard that song. My cassette copy, I bought it in the mall, threw it in the vehicle. Again, hair on the back of my neck stood up. Double bass fueled. It's a lesson in European power metal, 100%. And then we end with the epic 13-minute, 38-second long Keeper of the Seven Keys title track. A lot of twists and turns. It is a journey in itself. Absolute. This band can do very little wrong in my book. And immortal. Best band on the planet right now, as far as I'm concerned. Have been for a long time. Ty.
I agree. I agree. All right, let's kind of a more obvious one, I think. But 76, Lizzie's Jailbreak. Obviously, start out with Jailbreak. It's a massive song. I never tire of it, though. I mean, the dual leads, Phil's vocals,
Yeah.
they're all just earworms, man.
It's such a good, tough sounding song. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. No matter how many times you hear it. The first time I think I heard it was from watching Detroit Rock City, the movie.
Yeah, that's a fun movie.
Yeah, I love that movie. I don't know how the Kiss fans feel. I don't know. Maybe Marty can elaborate a little bit more. But yeah,
I'm sorry, I was typing. What did you say?
Detroit Rock City. I was talking about Jailbreak.
Do Kiss fans love it or
never
hate
seen?
it?
I've never seen that movie.
Oh,
You
wow.
call yourself a Kiss fan? My God.
I would suggest watch. It's funny. It's funny for what it is.
Kiss has not had a good record of being in movies. Let's just throw
They're not
that out
really in
here.
it.
They're
Yeah,
barely
no, you're
in.
right.
Okay.
Yeah, they're not really in it until the end when they go to the show. But it's kind of funny because the band allows them to like make fun of them, but it's the like poke fun at Kiss, and it's a cool. I dig the movie. It's a great soundtrack. But anyway, yeah, I mean, try to listen to Jailbreak and not nod along. It's almost impossible. It's everything that makes Lizzie great captured in a song, and then you get Emerald, man. I mean, Steve Harris owes so much to Emerald.
Great song.
There's so much proto Maiden in Emerald.
Yeah.
It's Irish history, the mythology, all that stuff. Maiden took all that. They obviously took all the twin guitar work. Robertson and Gorham are awesome. I think Emerald's like one of their best songs they ever did. And that song has Maiden obviously, but it has their fingerprints all over metal, especially Emerald. Awesome track. And it's hard to stand out, especially because this album is so great. And when you have obviously huge songs like The Boys Are Back in Town and Jailbreak, and to have an epic closer that rivals that, it shows the band's range and their true talent, and they were truly a talented band. And I honestly think if they were around today, like they would be even bigger than they ever were, 100%, because like everybody loves Lizzie now. Everybody knows, all the old and Metallica and everybody else, shouting out Lizzie. Like it's a shame that they weren't around to reap the rewards, because I think they truly would be.
Yeah. Alan.
Yeah, great pick. And you're right. Emerald in particular influenced a lot of bands. I remember reading something from the guys in Broca's Helm that Emerald was a song they were fascinated with. And I would never have figured that out, but yes, you can hear that in some of the Broca's Helm music. And Broca's Helm was a huge influence on Slothfag. And so, yeah, like no Emerald.
Which may or may not
Slothfag.
be coming up again here in a minute.
I suspected. Yeah, there's a possibility. But yeah, I mean, you take that one song off that album and you might never have a Lord Weird Slothfag. That's weird. Let's see. Some folks were talking about this in the chat a minute ago. And I think Ronnie mentioned this album, and I agree. It was already in my stack. If we're going to pick a Manowar album for this, I'm going with Fighting the World. Not most people's favorite Manowar album. It's the first of the Atlantic albums. So it is where they start to fit into the cheesy template a little bit more. There's still a lot of really, really good stuff on this album, though. Fighting the World, the opener, is fine. It's the big, grand, anthemic, get everybody pumped up, fist in the air kind of, anthem track. Fine way to start the album. Fun song, good song. The closer seals the deal, though. Black Wind, Fire, and Steel is an absolute scorcher of a tune. And it always surprises me how many people want to complain about this album being like, lame or wimpy or stuff. Like, did you listen to the last song? Did you play it to the end? Or did you just stop after, Blow Your Speakers? If you stopped after Blow Your Speakers, I understand your dissatisfaction, but that means you only made it to track 2. You need to get to track 9. Black Wind, Fire, and Steel showed this band absolutely could play as fast and heavy as they wanted to. And they did this from time to time. It's not the only time Manowar just went full out blitz on speed. Even years later on Triumph of Steel, you would have the ending to, what is it, Dragon's Whip? I haven't played that one in ages. But yeah, they could absolutely crank up when they wanted to. It's just not what they became known for. It's not something they did song in and song out. But when they do it, it's extremely effective. So yes, end with just this immortal slab of speed metal hell and black wind, fire, and steel. You opened with a great anthemic tune. In between, you've got your moments too. What else we have? Violence and Bloodshed is fine. Carry On is fine if you just want another really melodic, catchy sing-along tune. Defender is fine.
Yeah, great
here.
song. I like that.
Yeah,
song.
Holy War is another one where they start getting those beats per minute cranked up a little bit on the chorus. So yeah, there's good stuff on here. The more I look at this, really, is it just blow your speakers that people are whining about? Okay, you've got one goofy, cheesy track.
And they picked that for the video for the album.
Of course. Well, now there again, that's that's going to happen when you're dealing with a bigger label.
I think the single for that record was Defender, though. I have a single of Defender in my collection.
I think you're right. I think Defender was a single for it. So yeah, it's actually a very strong track list. The more I'm looking at it, and the album takes a lot of crap for no particular reason other than that. Come on, get over it. Yeah, every album can have one bad song and you can move on and still admit it's a great album. Fighting the World, still part of Manowar's classic run of albums. Manowar had a great career from album number 1 all the way through. Let's think.
It went for a while. Some of those Atlantic records
Kings of
are
Metal
good.
is 6. I guess you'd have to say the 6th is the last one you could really defend as a top album, because album number 7 is Triumph of Steel, and that album has some big issues.
Good shit on there. I like Louder Than Hell is a good album. I like that album too.
Which one, Marty?
Louder Than Hell.
Yeah, Louder Than Hell I'm not nuts about. I feel like in the 90s is where they kind of started losing their way a bit. But they're
not solid start to finish killer, but there's good songs on all of it.
They still have their moments, yeah. But yeah, the first at least 6 Manowar albums are really top-notch stuff. Fighting the World is part of that sequence. That's why I picked it.
Right on.
And it has good first and last songs.
Yeah, I'm just like a Hail to England guy, so I can't add much.
Well, you have some homework to do. You need to get into Glory Ride. That record rules. The debut, Battle Hymns. Come on, man.
Battle Hymns is is a weird album, though. Battle Hymns is not the place to. This is not a band where you start at the beginning of their catalog, I don't think.
Yeah, but the heavy songs on that make that album really special.
But the B-side has the heavier tracks. It kind of presages what would come. The A-side is fun. I like the songs on the A-side, but it sounds nothing much like what they would do later on. It's
more rock, hard rock.
It is. It's this weird kind of, hard rock, very full of a lot of chutzpah. It's got a weird vibe to it, but a fun vibe. And then, Into Glory Ride is really good, but all the songs are very long. It's kind of a slower, doomier album. And then you get to the pair of albums from 1984, and they cement their legacy.
Yeah. All right. Well, Ty mentioned Thin Lizzy, and we just talked about this record at length on Wednesday's Album Club. That's Lord Weird Sluffeg Traveler, their third full-length album. 4th full-length album. Sorry. And this thing, hail this band, man. They're weird. I don't know what it would be if you're bothered by the vocals. Man, work through it, because this is a perfect riff album. There is not a bad song on here. I was really liberal with my cheating on here. There is an intro called the Spinward Marches. It's just kind of like a little guitar thing. And then it gets into High Passage, Low Passage, which is a fantastic song. Right away, they knock you over the head with these Lizzy-esque twin lead lines and hard split on the mix. There's a left channel, a right channel for the guitars. They're panned hard left and right. They're each playing something different. This is a very deep, well-crafted, perfect record. And then they end it with Addendum Galactus. Again, there's absolutely perfect riff album. There's nothing in the thing of it is, it's different. It's a little off kilter, but the riffs are perfect, and the album is exciting. The songwriting is exciting. It's a concept record revolving around the RPG game of the same name. And instead of writing these long, overbloated songs, they're all shorter 3 to 4 minute songs. Listen to this record, man. If I've beaten it over your head this week, that's your homework. You got to listen to Traveler. It is a killer record from start to finish.
Yeah. Sometime later this year, there might be a Lord Weird Sloth Fag discography episode in the cards. We've talked about it and just haven't circled back to it yet.
We really should, and because that's going to be great. That's going to be a fun one.
Yep. We'll probably. It has not slipped off the list. We just haven't got to it.
Yep.
It'll happen.
All right, Ty. You need to get that Traveler, even though it's expensive. Good luck.
All right. I watched the album club. I've never listened to that album, so I gotta. But I watched the episode, so cool. I gotta give it a shot. My buddy, friend of the family and coworker, Mike, always talks about the tabletop game Traveler, though. So I found it interesting that there's an album about it. So it's like it's the only other context I've ever heard anybody talk about that is that.
I've never even heard. I was a D&D guy. I never even heard of Traveler.
Yeah, he's a huge D&D guy too, and then he's like, oh, I remember Traveler, and he always talking about Traveler. But yeah, he enjoyed it. I saw somebody mention this, and this is on my list, so I'll bring it up. 1993, Carcass's Heartwork. Uh-huh. I'm a huge melodic death metal fan, so obviously the entire genre owes so much to this album. Buried Dreams opens it. It's an awesome song, melodic, brutal, a great groove, still very heavy though. Production is great. Love the production on this record. Jeff's vocals, great in the mix. Michael and Bill, I thought Michael and Bill just such a great duo. I think they play well off each other. The melodies and solos become really integral to the sound as well. It'd obviously be the blueprint for so many bands to follow. I think the most probably impressive part of Buried Dreams, though, is how concise it is. It's under 4 minutes long. It introduces the entire new era of Carcass very well. You get crushing riffs, the memorable melodies, really cool arrangements, and an emotional depth, too, that they really hadn't shown before prior to this that much. And then you get Death Certificate to close it out on the regular version. And it's not as iconic as Buried Dreams or even the title track, but I think it's a really cool song. And again, you get some great guitar work. And I think it's a good example of their melodies not really killing the song and making it too soft. Instead, you get some great depth and memorability to the song. It's insanely catchy and danceable and headbangable, for lack of a better term. Lyrically, too, Death Certificate 2, it really explores like the themes of mortality, like bureaucracy, dying, and the reduction of kind of just life to a death certificate and records and another statistic. So yeah, I really dig the song. And you get a massive riff at 2 minutes, 45 seconds that kind of drives the song home. And it's just stellar. And yeah, they played a lot of this album when I saw them live a few years ago, and it was stellar. So yeah, Carcass's Heartwork. Had to bring them up here.
Oh, cool pick. Did not think of that one.
So, yeah, there's a lot of Carcass you could go with, but I'm just a huge Melodeath fan, so it just holds a really special place in my heart. For I know some people don't like it because they obviously prefer the older Carcass, but you got to keep in mind too, I'm young enough where most of this stuff I'm coming back in hindsight, so I didn't have the shock of like, oh, this band is totally different now. So
yeah. Well, I mean, even like me, I came on board with necroticism, so they were already leaning in that direction pretty hard. Yeah.
All right, Ellen.
All right, 1 minute. You should probably answer that, Marty.
Yes.
Revolution Calling.
I didn't pick it because of the intro.
This is one where I am going to fudge a little bit with the intro stuff, because the intro is really setting up the story more than anything. It's not necessarily setting up the music. So I felt okay with it. But we talked about it a lot last week. It also kind of fits here. It opens with a great pair. Once it gets, past, technically, you start with I Remember Now, which again is just, it's the voiceover. It's the scripted part. It's introducing the character of the story. Anarchy X builds a little bit, and then you get to Revolution Calling, followed by the title track. So it's a incredible start to the album. Revolution Calling, oozes attitude. It immediately submerses you into the world that they're building here with the main character. The production absolutely is unparalleled. Queensryche's albums before this are incredible albums. They both have productions that could be stronger. They don't hurt The Warning or Rage for Order. I kind of like the sound of Rage for Order, but
it's weird.
It is a little weird.
Kilter.
It's a very 1986 production, which, I mean, it's a 1986 album. It probably should have an 86 production. But then you hear this and it's just like, oh, holy crap. You can sound like that with a bigger budget and the right people in the right places. So yeah, Revolution Calling, absolutely the perfect, startup to the album. And then at the other end, you wrap everything up with Eyes of a Stranger, which does a great job of closing the album, kind of bringing elements of the story together. And it's a fantastic standalone song as well. Queensryche around this time were incredibly good at doing these moody, melancholic, but also catchy songs. Songs with that kind of atmosphere often wouldn't work as hits just because they're kind of downers. They're kind of depressive. That's not what made a great hit song in the mid and late 1980s. People in most times, and especially that time frame, wanted things that were more poppy and peppy. Even through Rage for Order, a lot of the best songs that would make great singles from that album are the ones that have this kind of just very gray, resigned melancholy to them. And Eyes of a Stranger just has that, permeating throughout every line. It's a great way to close the story. It's a great way to close the album. It's Jeff Tate and company. Most people would say it's their magnum opus. I think I do prefer Rage for Order just a tiny bit as an album. It can go back and forth. This one sounds better. This one wins on production. Rage for Order, everything else though, the aesthetics of the album, the track list of the album, I've always been really fascinated. The first time I heard it, I didn't get it, and the second time I heard it, I loved it. Mindcrime opens and closes fantastic. You've got great moments throughout the album in between. So yeah, even though we just talked about it last week, it fits the bill tonight. So just recycled it onto the next stack of CDs and trot it back out. So yep, Operation Mindcrime once again for the win. All right, Marty, your turn.
All right. Well, remember beginning, mentioned them in the chat, and I actually had 2 pulled. I could have pulled more, but going with Manila Road, I chose Mystification. We start off with Haunted Palace, and then we end with Death by the Hammer. And this is a little bit more aggressive of a Manila Road album. There was a period where he was kind of getting influenced a bit by the thrash that was going on, but he did not stray from the core Manila Road sound. And that, of course, is his jam-esque solos, guitar playing. You could tell he comes from the 70s. He's influenced by 70s hard rock. Songs are well crafted on this record, the whole thing. Mystification, Mask of the Red Death, great. Dragon Star, probably my favorite track on the album.
Agreed.
Love the song. Absolute classic. And I had to go with my first Manila Road album, Atlantis Rising. This is their first comeback record. Again, we covered this on the Album Club ages ago. Starts off with the heavy song Megalodon, which is just really catchy. And again, you've got a different singer in you got Brian Hellrody Patrick on vocals, not guest vocals, his vocals as well. He has very much a Mark Shelton style to his voice, but he is a little bit cleaner, where Mark at this point, his voice still sounds like him. He just sounds like a gristled old wizard at this point. But there's, on this Megalodon, there's another guy singing on it too. I think it's on this song. With a little bit more aggressive vocals, just like a guest performer. And then the album ends with War of the Gods, which is just another really well written, kind of plotting, heavy song, but the melody lines in it are great. The singing is great. To hear the band come back and I had very little point of reference. I got this promo in the mail and had to review it. And after our friend Jeff Wagner made me a mixtape of a bunch of his favorite Manila Road songs. So I had that. I had this promo, and then I saw them live for this record too. And the whole thing combined made me a fan. Like, how did I miss this band over the years? And I've been playing catch up ever since. I got them all now, but it was a long road to get there. And don't be afraid of non-classic Manila Road albums. This thing rules. This is a great record. Love it. All right, Ty, you're back.
I'll mention this one. I'll do it for me and the wife a little bit here. One of our favorite kind of mutual bands. We bond over a lot of music, and that's always fun. It's always nice to have that between us. But Nightwish, Century Child, 2002.
Cool. Good record.
You open, obviously, symphonic metal masterpiece. This is when they really embrace that kind of cinematic vibe to everything. Bless the Child, you get the great choir at the beginning. Tomas's keys are just instantly recognizable. Dude's genius to me. I've seen him live twice, and it's absolutely amazing. And then you get massive drum sound, which I'm a sucker for. Full on cinematic affair, like nothing's stripped down here. We're bombastic, over the top, just embracing it. The band really established themselves as like the premier band doing this type of sound. Tarja's vocals, obviously powerful. They have a tone of vulnerability to them on that opener, which I enjoy. You also get great bass tone by Marco. Marco is a huge part of this band. I wish he was still in the band. But to me, like, Bless the Child is one of my all-time favorite Nightwish songs, and I think it perfectly balances heaviness with the cinematic approach they wanted to do, the soundtrack type songs. Then you get Beauty of the Beast. Probably my favorite epic they've ever done. 10 minutes, taken through 3 different movements. Marco, again, adds a ton to the song. He and Tarja, again, one of the best duos ever in metal. They perfectly balanced each other. You also get Phantom of the Opera on here, too, but that's not the closer. Musically, track showcases everything that made this lineup special. Huge orchestra, soaring keyboards, heavy guitar riffs, great drumming. Production is truly massive and impressive, too, because it's still kind of is an intimate song as well. So truly underrated Nightwish song. I think this album doesn't really get talked about a lot too, because then Once came out, and that's obviously when they really started blowing up. So yeah, this one's great if you haven't gone back. I like Wishmaster as well, but I will always cherish this album.
Yeah, no, that's a good pick, Ty. And yeah, that Bless the Child is such a good opener on that album. That is Nightwish at their best right around that album.
Yeah, agreed.
All right.
I wish they still sounded like that. Haven't been a fan of the more recent stuff.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, oh, sorry. Go ahead, Ty.
No, go ahead. Yeah, I like some of. I like the last one. It's funny, the Yesterwind or whatever. But the the album before that, my wife and I listened to it like one time, and we just remember watching like the one single they had. And it she was like, it reminds me of like a cereal commercial, because they're like in a wheat field or something. So we just call it the cereal album. That's
yeah. That's the last 2 or 3 albums from my wife and I. They've become like, you buy them, you play them once, you put it on the shelf, you forget it even exists.
Yeah.
You 5 years later, you stop counting. It's like, oh wow, there really have been 3 albums since. There was one
which sucks too, because I love Floor. Like, they're amazing live. She's a great singer.
It's almost the John Bush syndrome here. You've got a great singer, but now they're just making albums with a band that just don't ever move me the way I want them to. Sad.
All right, Ellen.
All right. Well, if Marty's picking Manila Road, he missed the obvious one, which is Crystal Logic.
I chose other. I
It's
knew
okay.
I knew
there's plenty
that
of
was
good ones.
for sure. I could have picked most of the records.
Oh yeah, there's plenty of good ones to pick. And this one, we do have to cheat a little bit. There is the prologue, but again, the prologue is like a spoken intro to set up the intro track, and it's a great prologue. I've always liked it. In the misty jungle by the Styx, the lost city of the dead. Hey Marty, you know what would help you find your way to that lost city of the dead?
Don't need it.
A map.
A map.
I have an internal compass like no other.
Look, man. Mark spends a good chunk of this song explaining to everybody: don't you get lost in Necropolis. Easy way to make sure you don't get lost: a map.
I don't need a map. I know where I'm going.
That's why you forgot to mention Crystal Logic. Yeah.
Never admit you need a map. Never.
Anyway, yes, this album starts with my favorite Manila Road song, Necropolis. My introduction to Manila Road was not this album. I had heard, what's it called? Into the Abyss years earlier and did not care for it. It's like Marty mentioned with Mystification. It's one of those thrashier era albums, and I'm just not the biggest fan of thrashy Manila Road. I understand why, he might have moved in that direction. I was actually just reading a very kind of late interview with Mark. I think it was from 2017. And they touched on that. He's like, yeah, I was hearing thrash and other stuff, and it just kind of worked its way in. It wasn't necessarily like a conscious decision. I wasn't trying to become a thrash band or become popular, but it just made sense for the music to move in that heavier direction, the same way it had made sense for him to move in the heavier direction of this album from what came before this one, because this one is notably heavier than anything that Manila Road recorded before it. I'm just not a huge fan of that phase of the band. I don't get into the thrash one. So yeah, Into the Abyss had left me kind of cold, wasn't interested in checking out more of the band, but a friend from the old Lapland metal forum days, Chris, the Wizard of Magma, made it wasn't a mixtape. Now you got a mixtape from Jeff. I got from Chris a 90-minute TDK. It had Crystal Logic on one side and Open the Gates on the other side. He's like, if you don't like these two albums, then you do not need to bother worrying anymore, but you got to try at least these two. Got it from him on Friday of Labor Day weekend. I was driving up to visit my parents for the weekend. Put the tape in, as soon as I got it like on the interstate. It's like, okay, yeah, let's check this out. Chris had good taste in music. I'll give it a chance. It was about a 4.5 hour drive. I think the lore in my brain anyway tells me I just played the song Necropolis nonstop for 4.5 hours. I would play the song. I was so blown away. As when I got to the end of the song, I just rewound the tape, played it again. Rewound the tape, played it again. I learned all the words to the song before I even got to my parents' house.
And the whole side too had Astronomica on it. That song, holy shit! That's another holy shit moment for me, anyway.
Well, even this. I never even got to. It was a while before I got to the Riddle Master, and that might be my second favorite Manila Road song of all time. But yes, so in terms of great starting songs, I think Necropolis qualifies. Just going to say it. This one, your last full song, is Dreams of Eschaton, which was supposed to have been the title of the album they recorded before this. There was an album recorded called Dreams of Eschaton that was supposed to come out. And again, the band was already moving towards heavier material. So by the time it came ready to release something, Mark felt the Eschaton material just didn't quite fit. And so that got set aside. It got released much later, around 2002, after the band came back on Atlantis Rising. Mark of the Beast was released, and that was the Dreams of Eschaton demo.
Which is a very expensive record, by the way. I cannot find a copy that isn't rapey.
Well, you also, in a way, don't need it.
I have the Eschaton one.
If you have the Dreams of Eschaton reissue, which came later, it's the same. Yeah.
Isn't the track listing backwards?
Probably. I would guess there are some differences here and there, but really, you've got the material if you got the other one. So there's no point in tracking.
But it's a different, cooler cover, and
Don't feed the monkey,
nice
Marty.
Nice
Don't
monkey.
feed the monkey.
Yeah.
But Dreams of Eschaton on here ends up being like, the kind of long, epic closer. It shows what the album could have been if they had stayed with that more 70s progressive minded direction, which they do very well. And they came back to that and did songs in that vein from time to time. They're very strong songs. So yeah, Dreams of Eschaton, very cool outro. Necropolis, it's I've never done like a favorite songs of all time list. It seems a little futile with so many songs out there. Necropolis would be, if I started just a list, brainstorming, Necropolis would be the first song title I would write down. It's that good. So that is my Manila Road story. And if you want to find your way through the Manila Road discography, feel free to ask Marty or I. We can provide a good map to help you through their very extensive catalog of albums.
I prefer breadcrumbs.
Birds eat the breadcrumbs. The sex condor flies down, eats your breadcrumbs, and then you're just lost wandering around, and it's cold and dark, and wolves start howling, and you hear banjo music in the distance.
You just weren't meant to get to where you were going then. It wasn't, the fates have spoken.
That's a very fatalist kind of statement, dude.
That's right.
Do we need an intervention over here?
Right on.
Question. They've always seemed like an intimidating band. Where do you start?
Honestly, I probably would start with this one just because it's a solid heavy album. It's not too long. It's not too proggy. There's nothing odd about it. It gives you a really good introduction to their early sound. That would be my recommendation.
Okay.
Marty, what would you recommend?
I mean, that's the logical place to start.
I see what you did there.
You don't need a map to pick that one, because that's the one that everybody, Necropolis is. I will say right away, if you struggle with the voice a little bit, I understand, but give it a little time. Again, he sounds like a twisted wizard, and the Crystal Logic has a few tracks that still are clinging to the street rock vibe, like Feeling Free Again.
It's the one goofy one. Apparently, someone in the studio kind of convinced him to throw that one on. It's the one track on there he regrets not having cut.
Yeah. But it's heavy. It's unique as hell. If you like that, Out of the Abyss.
Probably, if you like Crystal Logic, I would say then just start working forward from that point.
The Deluge is
they
great.
gradually get heavier and heavier.
Open the Gates. Out of the Abyss, like Alan said, is very thrashy. But the Deluge rules. Mystification rules. Open the Gates rules. Their first two albums, Invasion, it sounds like a different band. In metal, It's got a few songs on it that starts to indicate where they're going. But
both are good, but they are different and notably a bit less heavy than what they were by Crystal Logic. The Dreams of Eschaton stuff is cool. If you like you are into Rush.
Mm-hmm.
Dreams of Eschaton is definitely Manila Road at their like 70s proggiest, mostest. That's not a word, but I think you know where I was going, even if I don't have a map.
Gotcha.
So yeah, you might actually really dig that material.
Report back with your findings, because I would be really curious to hear where you land with this stuff. Again,
Marty, dishing out the homework.
Yeah,
I dig it.
The Deluge. I love that. The Divine Victim song is a classic for me. Hammer of the Witches, what a great song.
Yep.
The Deluge is a great fucking song. It's a great album.
Just got such a funny running order to it.
Yeah.
Because you have like the long song, but then you have short song, long song. Yeah. It's a great album, but it plays very weird with the track order.
Okay.
Anyway, we're off in we need to get off that road and back on the main road here.
What'd you do with the map, honey?
Yeah, see, when you don't look at the map, this is what happens.
All right. Well, we're going to take it a little bit different direction. Srantgorth, the second album by Germany's Nagelfar. There's an E in the middle. It isn't the Swedish Nagelfar. They put out albums like Vitra and Pariah. This is a precursor band to Runes of Beverast. And Runes of Beverast is a little bit more nightmarish, but there's still the same. There's a similar vibe here. This album is fantastic, and they put out 3 records. None of them are bad, but this one, it starts off with It's a very long title. It's a 15-minute song intro, and it's a slow build, but it gets to a point where everything drops out, and there's like this clipping sounding bass tone that plays a frantic tremolo picked progression. And when everything comes crashing in, it is so damn exciting. It is such an explosive. That's the true intro to the album for me. And the song just absolutely rips. And the very last track too, another very long title, is again just well written and unique. This is a German band. They sound like nobody else during the time. Just a very menacing tone to them. Good production. Black metal vibe for sure. I wouldn't call them a black metal band per se, but I wouldn't call them a death metal band either. They're like one of those interloper type bands that just didn't quite know where to land, and that was fine. I mean, listen to the Ruins of Beverast. It's kind of the same thing. Nightmarish. It feels like it borrows from a couple different styles to come up with something far more sinister and atmospheric. That's where this was here. A little bit more attention to blast beats, tremolo riffs here and there, but of course, then you listen to Ruins of Beverast, The Rain Upon the Impure. All that stuff is very fast as well. So this is a great album from a great band. The start and stop, the first opening track and the last track, excellent. But again, the whole album is very interesting. All right, Ty.
Another thing, if you come over to my channel, I'm going to talk about Sweden a lot. So I'll talk about Bloodbath, Resurrection Through Carnage, the debut from '02. You get Ways at the Grave to open it, 4 minutes. You get an absolutely just unworldly guitar tone.
Bad drum tone, though. Very clicky, fake drum sound. That's always been a drag about that record for me.
Yeah,
but
I don't think. I mean, this is the one with, wasn't it Swano on the drums? This is the one he did the drums on.
Yeah.
And then they change afterwards. But yeah, I mean, the main draw is that guitar tone, though.
Oh, yeah, it's killer.
It's
Chainsaw.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
And, you know, when you're listening to the song, just when you're about to like, man, this is a lot, they decide to put like some insanely catchy part in it. And you're like, oh, it lightens the mood and like, okay, this is amazing. I think Dan is a master of that, like all his stuff that he does. Ackerfeld's vocals, obviously great. Yeah, Ways of the Grave highlights basically all my love of Swedish death metal for sure, especially the non-mellow side of it. And you just feel grimy at the end of the song, but it's like an awesome track. And then you get Cry My Name, which might be my favorite track on the album. It's got the nice, catchy little guitar riff, like at the beginning, that sticks in your head. And then thankfully they kind of revisit that throughout the song. Super, super catchy and very heavy too. Like Swedish people are just masters at doing that type of stuff. And you get a fake out ending too, which I appreciate. Like at around 250, the song completely drops out. And then you're like, oh, it's over. And it starts back up again with the main riff. I dig that a lot. Yeah, guitars are buzzsaws. If you just want to hear crazy guitar tone. Yeah, essential Swedish death metal. I love all their albums. And I love all the different eras of the band with the different members. But yeah, definitely check this out if you haven't.
Power of the supergroup. It's funny how in metal music, supergroups sometimes took off and went further than the main bands did. You know what I mean?
I mean, it's a hot take, but I listen to Bloodbath. I'm not a huge Opeth guy. I like Paradise Lost. I've seen them live once. Very cool band. But like the band and Catatonia. I like early the last like 5 Catatonia records I've tried, and like they're in one ear out the other. Yeah. I honestly like that band probably more than the main bands that are inspired, that the guys are from.
Yep. All right, Alan.
Alrighty. This one I have to skip an intro and an outro, but this album is so full of intros and outros, you trip over them. It was unavoidable, but it still deserves mention. We are talking about, now someone mentioned the debut earlier in the chat, but I'm going with album number 2 from Candlemass with Nightfall.
Classic.
Yes.
That's my favorite. That's my favorite Candlemass, hands down.
It's hard to beat. I have a hard time picking a favorite from this band, but yeah. If this one had like 2 fewer little interludes and 1 more quote unquote real song, it probably would be my favorite. There's so many bloody little tracks out of there's 10 tracks, and I think at least 4 of them are sort of just quick intro, outro things. So it always feels like it paces again, kind of strange. Anyway, you get through the quick intro of Gothic Stone, and you get to the real opener, The Well of Souls. And this song sells me just within the first few seconds, because you have Messiah's unmistakable voice, just speaking those first two lines, today I bind unto myself the strong name of the Trinity, and then the whole band just crashes in, and it lands on you like a ton of lead. As like, holy shit, that's heavy. That right there defines doom metal for the 1980s. So fantastic song. Sounds great on some of the live recordings from the era too. You get to the end of the album, and Bewitched is this amazing song too. And it's one where Messiah's vocals, you're really kind of making the hair on your arm stand up. Just, you are bewitched. It's like, yeah, it's okay. Yeah, that's creepy and crazy and wonderful all at once. See, both of those songs are fantastic. I don't know if there's a bad song on this album. What else have we got? At the Gallows End is one of their best ever. Samaritan is even better. You've got the March Funeral thing. Darker the Veils of Death is great. Yeah, there's really just nothing on here. It's like I said, if you just had a couple, if they trimmed out a few of those little pieces, put in like one more song on the vein of the others, it could probably fight off anything else for best doom metal album of all time. And it might anyway. I'm not even saying it's out of the running. I'm just saying it does irk me a little bit that there are so many non-songs, and it's only a 10-song track list. So when you're subtracting 4, you're down to only about 6 full songs, which is getting into like that mini album kind of length for songs. So it always felt a little weird to me in that regard, but otherwise it is a masterpiece. And yes, those opening few moments, they just drop the doom hammer on you, and Bewitched just still creeps me out a little bit to this day in the best possible way. So Candlemass, Nightfall, perfect.
All right. Forbidden Evil by Forbidden. I did not pick Testament. I figured I'd go a different route with the Bay Area.
Okay.
And,
a lot of folks have been asking for Testament. I kind of left it. I assumed one of y'all would pick the Legacy.
It's a classic. I mean, not a bad song on that record either. Absolutely great. Absolute classic. And this here, start off with Chalice of Blood. Oh, there we go. Ty's got us covered.
Excellent.
And then we end with the powerful track, Follow Me. What a great, kind of a different feel for Russ's vocals here. He's still singing clean, but he's just a little bit lower, a little more brooding in his performance on this one. Love the way this album ends. And again, Chalice of Blood, absolute headbanger. Chalice of Blood waits to fill us. Killer.
That's the one I always heard back in the day. Yep.
What a great band too, by the way. And it's cool that they're back. I'm pretty
yeah.
interested to hear what the new album's going to sound like. I'm curious, cautiously optimistic.
Yeah, that's always the rough. You want to be optimistic, and you're like,
I want to be optimistic, and I get burned so many times.
Yeah, and you don't want to
have a hard time.
Well, the new singer
hard.
He can do Russ pretty well, and Russ handpicked him, so we'll see.
I mean, that's
we'll see.
nice. You still got to write the songs.
Yeah.
It's great if you can play the old stuff, but what are you going to do for new material?
Right.
All right, I'm going to go with an obvious one, but I could have chose a couple albums from this band, probably maybe 3 or 4, honestly. But Machine Head, Deep Purple, 1972. Highway Star. I mean, it's such a cool track, man. It's cool, too, how they wrote it. Like, they were just traveling with reporters on tour, and a reporter asked Richie, like, how do you write songs? And he's like, this. And he just started writing. Just started writing one of their biggest songs, and then Gillan just started riffing and like, all right, here's the lyrics, and then they literally played the song that night. It's absolutely insane. Just such talented dudes.
Oh, yeah, the talent level at that time was nuts.
Yeah, and then John Lord's organ playing, just a hook within itself. It makes you want to drive fast, like even if you aren't a car dude, like. this makes you into cars. Like you dig the song. Space Truckin', close it out. Roger Glover's bass all over the song, groovy song, love it. Slowly evolve. Gillan gets kind of crazy in his vocal the later you go in the song, especially when they do it live. Yeah. John Lawrence again, his organ playing. It sounds like a guitar on Space Truckin' too. Like it's a crazy sound he gets. And then it's a song about intergalactic travelers. Like the lyrics are absolute nonsense, but like a band this cool could pull that song like that off. It's a great closer, an iconic album, obvious one, but I figure I had to pick it.
No, that's a great pick. Yeah.
I've never heard that whole album. Is that crazy? That's crazy. I'm late to Deep
crazy.
Purple. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have Burn. I like Burn a lot. I like Coverdale era.
Oh yeah.
Nothing wrong with Burn. Yeah. It's a
Stormbreaker's
different
great,
lineup,
too.
kind of a different sound.
Yeah.
All right, Alan.
All right. I'm going to go get into some death metal with Horrendous and their sophomore album, Ecdysis. Cool band. I've liked most of their catalog. I've had trouble with some of the more recent ones, but I've come around on them in the past 6 to 9 months. This one hooked me right off the bat because the lead off track, The Stranger, is one of their coolest songs. It shows a change of direction from The Chills, which is a terrific album. I really like the way that album's put together. It was early enough in the old school death metal revival that it didn't feel like the idea had been trampled into the ground yet. It's like, oh, hey, here's a band that, yes, is actually, playing death metal the way you kind of want to hear it, but it's a younger band. But with The Stranger, right off, they show you that, okay, this is going for a much more complicated and technical approach, still melodic, not going overboard with it. That song I've always really liked. There's a cool shift in the middle of it, and there's like a vocal line where he sings like, and all the fucking angels, and just has, this great riff. It reminds me a little bit of something that you might hear from Carcass circa Heartwork. But they only do that part once or twice, and it's a very short part. This song doesn't cycle. It's not a verse chorus kind of track whatsoever. So again, you start to get the sense very quickly with the album that they are composing things in a more complicated pattern. Lots of other good tracks along the way too. You get to closer Titan, and that song has a different vibe from most of the rest of the album. The album, again, it's got melodic death metal elements already creeping in, great guitar work, technical aspects. Titan, though, is a slower, kind of somber song. It has a certain sadness to it, but it's fantastically written and executed. It's, in a way, a little bit like the closing tracks on the Dio Sabbath albums that you talked about earlier, Marty, where they start by really grabbing your attention with a banger, and then they end the album with something that's, very grand, very almost elegant, but sad. It's the shutting off the lights, putting the stools up on the table, tying up the loose ends, and laying this whole thing to rest at the end. So Titan, and it was a song that I didn't notice right away. The first several times I went through this album, I was hooked on The Stranger. Other tracks, would start to stand out. And it wasn't until I'd played it many times that I really focused in on the close. I'm like, whoa, this is a really, really cool song. It's different from anything else on the album. I can't think of another track they've done on any of their other albums that had that same kind of atmosphere to it. But Titan is a really neat and unique way for Horrendous to close out an album. So it begins well, it ends well, and it takes a lot of interesting twists and turns with everything that's in between it too. A good album. Again, The Chills was like, this is a cool, fun album. Ecdysis showed that this was a band that really had ideas and was going to start progressing and moving things along. Not everybody's into Horrendous. The band has their detractors, as I guess everyone does. I don't know. I don't quite get it. I feel like Horrendous has followed a pretty good career trajectory, even if I've had trouble keeping up with some of their strides forward at times.
All right. Okay. We're going to maybe an odd pick, but Kvist with For Kunsten ma vi evig vitka. Nailed it.
You sound very, very authoritative in the foreign languages tonight. Kudos.
You know, I'm bilingual. This album is great. Norwegian black metal band, one and done band. I heard they're getting back together and writing new stuff. I don't know if that's true, but this is a standalone excellent album. A lot of speed on this, but a very much very confident, very unique. Side A starts with Ars Manifestia, very good song, and it ends with Vetten Etter. I don't know. This is just one of those bands, you hear it, and I wish there were more records in this vein. Again, there's nothing really, you could listen to it and tell it's from Norway during the 90s. It has that almost folkish type of melody that they play with all strings being played in the tremolo, something that Mayhem and Thorns perfected. Yeah, I need Marty needs a map to a Norwegian language. I need no map. Get Roger in here. He'll tell you I'm fluent. But oh yeah, killer bass tone as well. This is fantastic. I have not a whole lot to say. This is another one of those off the radar type of bands that if you've never heard it, check it out because you're going to be impressed by this record for sure. This is a reissue, 2000 peaceful reissue. Check it out. Kvist. For Kunsten ma vi evig vitka.
Hey, you sounded more confident the first time.
Hey.
Less confident as he went on.
Sun shines on an old dog's ass once in a while.
Once you realized you didn't have a map to all those phonetics, you got a little shaky there.
Yeah. All right, Ty, what you got?
All right, I'll do kind of a more modern one. I saw somebody mention them earlier. Unleash the Archers, 2017 with Apex.
Good band. Very good band.
Oh, yeah. Power metal. I think, you listen to Awakening, the opener, introduced the album's narrative. It's a concept record. Amazing vocals. Brittany, one of my favorite, just vocalists. I was going to say female, but literally just vocalists going today. A great singer. In the vein of like a Dio, like that level of like you're actually good. Fast guitar work, memorable melodies, cinematic storytelling, great album cover as well. I think it's a really good introduction. I think they kind of bridge the line between like US power metal and European power metal really nicely and flawlessly. You get good Iron Maiden worship with the galloping and then Britney's vocals over the top. Awesome kind of speed metal stuff thrown in there too with the fast riffing, good melody and harmonized leads. Then the title track closes at Apex is just an absolute vocal master. Like Britney really shines on it. She's excellent. Her voice is the centerpiece of that song for sure. Leads you through the end of the album. They do get a bit proggy too, especially for a power metal tune, with some different passages and stuff. You get some awesome Iron Maiden inspired guitar work, super catchy. I really don't think they have a bad album. I think they got better as they've gone along too. I think their early days they were kind of doing the metalcore thing where they had the clean vocals and the harsh vocals, and they kind of realized like Britney's where we're gonna make the money here. Like that's where we're gonna draw people in, and I think it's a smart move. So great album, bangers of an opener and a closer. Check out those two tracks if you've never listened to them or you want to try to get into them.
I don't even get how that worked for Lacuna Coil. You have a very talented lady singer and you put some dork with eyeliner on doing the harsh vocals, and like nobody wants to hear that guy.
Yeah, 100%.
No one gives a shit about that guy.
Exactly. Yeah. Christina's the draw, and she's a great talent too.
And you got her taking second stage to dipshit. I don't know. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I saw them live once too, and it's the same on stage. It's just like, why isn't she singing? She's the one who can sing. Why are you singing?
Everybody but Tip Fam. Sorry, Tip Fam.
They have a big following. So I mean, people, obviously
they've been doing it a long time. They've been around a long time.
I'm of course kidding, but
they are one of those bands in that kind of style, though, that even early on I had trouble getting into because of that. It always felt like something was just a little off in the way they balanced that.
All right.
Oh well.
All right, Alan.
All right, let's do another death metal one. This just came out, I think, last year. It is Decrepacy with Deific Mourning. This band features, let's see, the drummer Charlie's in a ton of projects and has worked with a lot of bands. They have a new vocalist on this one. It's Daniel from Vastum. So folks will right away have a pretty good idea of what this is going to sound like. It's going to be ugly, sludgy, slow, deep, dungeony kind of death metal. And they do it extremely well. The opening track, Ceremony of Unbelief, really starts sucking you down that drain into that kind of underworld right off the bat. This is a style of music where the albums often sound good. Songs sometimes can have trouble standing out. It's like the album has a good atmosphere. There are good riffs here and there. But this one, what really stood out to me, even the first time I heard it, was this band had actually really good songs composed for it, not just a lot of atmosphere and not just a handful of riffs or something. So yeah, Ceremony of Unbelief, right away, you know that you're sinking slowly into this swamp, and it's going to be an excellent one. The closing track is really great and really odd. It closes with a cover song, which I don't think we've had an album do this yet tonight. And usually that feels kind of tacked on. It's not something you would think of as an album highlight. In this case, it's one of the rare exceptions to the rule where the cover song is absolutely one of the coolest things on here. It's a cover of a Sisters of Mercy track called After Hours, which I've done a separate video on this because I went down a rabbit hole after realizing it was a Sisters track. It was essentially only available as a B-side on one of their early EPs. It has probably been included as a bonus track on some reissue of the First and Last and Always material somewhere along the line, but it's not the easiest Sisters track to track down on a physical format. Let's just leave it at that because I found it. It took some doing. It's a very dark, slow, and creepy track by Sisters standards. It's not, I mean, obviously Sisters has all the dark, gothy stuff, but this track really has a very strange and unsettling vibe to it. Having this kind of slow, brutal death metal band pick up an 80s goth band's track and doing something with it is already interesting. They completely make it work and they make it their own. It still feels a lot like the original in tone. It still has this just really dark, something bad has happened or is about to happen to the characters singing this song. But they translate it out of a goth metal context and into a slow, brutal death doom context. It's one of those things that really shouldn't work, but they did it so bloody well, you can't help but love it. It's a little analogous to something that CBN and other folks mentioned in the chat earlier when we talked about Mayhem with De Mysterious Donna Sathanas, that Crypt Sermon covered that tune on an EP last year. And on paper, that sounds like a horrible idea. You've got this doomy, epic, new wave of traditional heavy metal type band, and they're going to cover a black metal staple? My immediate thought was, oh, please don't. Just don't do that. And they completely nailed it. They took that song, they kept the essence of it, but they transcribed it into their genre and did it extremely well. That's exactly what Decrepacy does with After Hours from Sister of Mercy here. So it's a really cool way to wrap up the album. So yeah, I thought between that and the opening track just doing such a good job of immediately forcing you into that dark mindset for the whole journey, figured it was a fun one to show off here. Decrepacy, Deific Morning, got some attention last year. If you didn't check it out and you like that really slow, dark style death doom, please go check it out. They're a cool band.
Aaron's asking about which single After Hours was on. Is it the Body Electric remake single?
Give me 1 second. I can pick it up in 10 seconds.
Okay, while he's doing that, we'll go to my pick. Well, he might only be a second. No, we'll just do this.
He's a fun
creator.
map.
Pleasure to Kill. Pleasure to Kill. We've got Ripping Corpse after the Choir of the Damned intro, and it ends with Under the Guillotine, which this is another one of those perfect records, start to finish. It just completely rips. Classic German thrash metal. For the longest time, I preferred the German stuff, the Noise International bands, over the U.S. stuff. Although I love that as well, don't get me wrong. But this is the aggression, the rawness of it. It just was perfect. It just fit thrash metal perfectly for me. What were your findings, Alan?
What I ended up getting it on, 2 of their EPs were reissued as a record store day thing just a year or 2 ago, and it's on one of these. So you have, let's see, it's this one, Body and Soul. But yeah, the reissue also has the Walk Away, Poison Dorn on the Wire.
That is a cool record store day thing I missed out on. That is so cool.
It was. I missed out on it too. I don't really pay much attention to record store day things, but this was a neat one. And yeah, this one EP was the only place After Hours was originally pressed on. It's a great EP. Like I said, there is one of those big fancy box sets for First and Last and Always, like the 35th anniversary edition, 8 CD version or some crap.
Yeah.
And I think After Hours is buried in that mess as a bonus track, but it's going to cost you an arm and a leg if you can even find a copy of it. It's a lot to just get First and Last and Always, remixed 5 different ways or whatever. But yeah, if you can find a copy of this floating around for a reasonable price, you get After Hours and 2 great EPs total.
CBN is asking if you would spell out the band name and put it in the chat.
Oh yeah, I sure will. Because yes, it is a little bit of a tricky one. So I'll add that right now, CBN.
All right, Ty, you're back.
All righty, I'll do one. Alan kind of broke the seal with covers, so I guess I'll put one with a cover. I kind of broke my rule on this one, but anyway, let's talk about an album that doesn't really get talked about because they were starting to change here and kind of follow a little trend, but I dig it for what it is. Fear Factory is Obsolete, 1998. You got Shock that opens. I think it's an awesome opener, like sets the tone, got the futuristic vibe, great vocals by Burton. Burton's one of my favorite vocalists ever. You get obviously great drumming by Raymond. Dude was always amazing.
Oh yeah. Use a machine. Perfect for
truly,
that band. Perfect for
100% a perfect fit. And it went into like video games. I was doing a deep dive, like what happened to him. Went into like video game soundtracks and stuff, which like fits him perfectly.
Yeah.
You also get obviously great Dino riffs later throughout. It's a simple and effective opener. You get the cybernetic like groove that only really they did. They sounded like kind of 101. And then the closer is Timelessness, but on most versions you get Cars. So you get the cover of Gary Newman. So I'm putting that in here. It's obviously weird to include a cover, like Alan said, but it's one of the best covers, I think, ever in metal, and it fits the band so well. So good that even Gary Newman was on the track with him. He was also in the video with him, which if you've never seen the video, watch. It's great, like PS1, PS2 era level of like computer graphics if you're into video games. And like I said, it didn't appear on the original release, but it's kind of find a copy without it, because after it hit, Roadrunner's like, all right, we got to put this back out and keep this on the album. The cover changes just enough to necessitate it being on the album and doing the song, but it also stays faithful to the original. It 100% fits the band. Dino basically replaces all the synth with guitar, fits perfectly, and you get a futuristic vibe, fit the band. Love the band. I love all their reunion stuff that they did, and then Burton and Dino hate each other again, so that's gone. But yeah, Obsolete, Fear Factory.
Got Reese Fulber from Frontline Assembly doing the synth work on there too. He might have produced it as well, didn't he?
I think so. Yeah, he did a lot of the. Yep, produced by Reese. Yep.
Yeah, great. Electronic musician for sure. All right, Alan.
All right, let's get back to some classic U.S. heavy metal. This whole album's a monster. and the first and last tracks are no exception. It is Sabotage, Hall of the Mountain King. Starts with a very unusual track. It is called, for those who don't remember, 24 Hours Ago.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a strange opening track in some ways. This album is full of a lot of very, flashy guitar fireworks, strong pounding, kind of aggressive songs. John's vocals are maniacal all over it. But 24 Hours Ago is a little bit slower and very measured kind of track. They are not in a hurry to blast through this one. It's got a very kind of start-stop kind of riff to it, just, it doesn't really start flowing or picking up any velocity whatsoever as you're going. And again, John's vocals are already in that just lunatic nightmare mode that he did so extremely well. And so, yeah, it just makes this, very creepy song, but it really does get stuck in your head. It's always stood out in the Sabotage catalog. It was one of, and perhaps the first Sabotage song I ever heard. So right off the bat, to me, they were this very dark sounding and unusual kind of band. Took me a while before I got to hear more stuff. But yeah, 24 Hours Ago, when I would mention that song to folks, like, oh, I only know that one song, folks would be like, oh, that's such a cool song. That's such a weird song, but such a cool song. So other people kind of had the same reaction to it that I did. Interesting way to start the album, but it's a really, really cool tune. At the other end of the album, you get Devastation, which, as the name implies, it's just a really heavy, as the lyrics go, total devastation. It's the band laying waste to whatever remains standing after the first 9 tracks. This is, it's Sabotage at their heaviest. It's Sabotage at their most unhinged. There's a lot of live recordings that have circulated from around this era of the band, and they sounded absolutely demonic live, just brilliant live. One particular tour they did with Megadeth, and this would have been like So Far So Good So What era Megadeth. So Megadeth at their most drugged out and dysfunctional. I remember reading in old interviews that at that time, the only band that could keep up with the excesses in Megadeth was Sabotage. That John and the guys were absolute just fiends for whatever people were partaking of after the show, let's say. So, yeah, and I just, the darkness of these kind of tracks with 24 Hours Ago being such a creepy, kind of tense opener, and then Devastation just being this final climactic impact of a tune. It really speaks to what this album has to offer. Great songs on an absolute, we often say, like, absolute favorite, top album all time. It's been a long time since I did any kind of like top 25 albums. Mountain King's in that conversation. I don't know if it quite makes top 25. Let's face it, 25, you don't have much room to work with, but Mountain King is in that conversation starting out at least, and very few albums could say that.
Yeah, I didn't pick it because I knew you were. So I was like, I almost picked Streets. I like Streets too. I like the way it opens.
Streets would be a
too.
Great pick for this. Yeah. Absolutely. Yes. Yep.
All right. Well, this one, I can't deny how perfect this record is. And it would be Destroyer 666 with Phoenix Rising. Oh, my God.
Oh, interesting.
This album, this band, they've kind of strayed from their core anthemic. They're just a very anthemic band. These songs, a lot of power to them. This starts off with Rise of the Predator. Frantic riffs at the beginning, and, KK Warslut's voice is just very anthemic, very stately. The way he's got a lot of confidence in the, not always a fan of what he has to say. We'll just say that right now. I'm not a fan of what he has to say, but man, this record, the riffs on this are so good. And it ends on The Birth of Tragedy. Absolutely killer riffs in this song. Absolutely killer riffs in this song. Another one of those perfect albums from start to finish. There's just, every song is catchy. They redo The Eternal Glory of War on here from their debut, Violence is a Prince of This World. It's less war metal and just more fist pumping, anthemic, awesome. I figured you'd like that, Simon. I pulled this one, but if you haven't heard this band, this is a place to start. For as far as I'm concerned, absolutely great. Such a good record. Ty.
I feel like there's one we're dancing around, but I'm just gonna wait to see if Marty pulls out the probably both albums that we're talking about here.
Yeah, I've got them right here. They're queued up.
I got one of them. But
anyway, I'll show the other.
No worries. I'll mention this one here because it's going to be maybe a controversial, but we'll talk about Emperors.
That's not the one I was thinking you were going for. But okay.
No, I know. There's a very obvious one that we're all dancing around, but this is not the obvious one. But obviously, classic black metal band. They get really into their prog here. Isan basically does the whole album, so I know that's kind of rubs people the wrong way. And it's an album you either love or hate. I love it because, like I said, I love all the progginess. Is it like the band's early classics? No, not really. But it's seriously some really impressive prog metal filtered through a black metal lens, like blackened prog metal. You get awesome harpsichord on the opener, the Eruption. You get great blast beats, awesome riffs that hit you hard, great orchestration, production, massive and impressive. Isan's vocals just absolutely, seriously impressive. Like it's an epic in song and scope, memorable chorus. This album, the entire album, especially that opener too, rewards like intent listening to it over and over again because there's so much. It's so thick. There's so much going on. Thorns on My Grave closes it out. You get the aggression filled with complexity, awesome drumming, obviously great production throughout the whole album. And the song is fitting. Like it's a great end to a band's recording career. Like the subject matter of the song, and they constantly bring back motifs and return them back in altered forms in it. It's very cool. Certain melodic phrases and chord movements reappear later with different rhythms and harmonies, which I dig. And you get a good continuity out through the whole album, but especially the opener and the closer. And like if you're willing to put your time in, like this record definitely rewards you. Obviously, everybody loves In the Night Side and anthems, but I'm definitely a simp for this album, and I think it's overlooked for sure.
I would agree. I think it's underrated.
All right, Alan.
Wow. All right. Someone mentioned this in the chat earlier, and I had not pulled it, but it's too perfect not to mention. So, and sorry, I don't remember who mentioned it. It's been a little while ago. Blind Guardian, Imaginations from the Other Side.
Great record.
A fantastic record. And it's funny, this one, when it came out, did not get the best reaction from folks. I think it's an album that has aged well, and a lot of people now rank it extremely high.
Why wouldn't
Blind Guardian albums?
I'm confused. Why wouldn't they think that rules? First time I heard that record, I'm like, holy shit, this is great.
Because this was the album where they really left the speed metal behind completely. They had been trending away from it on the previous album, but they still had a few faster ones on that. But this album, there's really isn't anything that has much velocity to it the way the other things did. So yeah, folks that were all about Tales from the Twilight World and had followed The Blind and all of those albums, you get to this album, and everybody was just like, oh God, now it's all just symphonic crap, and they can't actually push the pedal to the metal anymore. So yeah, a lot of people were not keen on this album when it came out. It got some bad reviews. I didn't see a ton of reviews for it, to be fair, but the ones I saw were kind of lukewarm, and those were from longtime fans too. It wasn't just people picking up the album. But I think that was the issue. It's a little bit of the painkiller problem. Some of the older fans didn't like the change in direction. It had started on the previous album, but it was fully formed here. It's an album it took me a while to get into. It was not an instant case of, love on first listen, because I also, had heard some of the earlier albums and absolutely loved them. But I knew Blind Guardian was talented enough that if I gave this album time, I'd figure it out. So I spent a lot of time with this album around, and now I didn't get it when it came out. I probably got this sometime in 97, most likely. But I would play it in background music, working in the lab. I would play it while studying. I would play it when I had time to sit down and listen to it. And it was just an album that grew song by song by song by song until I realized the whole bloody album was fantastic. But we're supposed to focus here on the first and last tracks. It begins with the title track. We've had the title track be instrumental to a lot of the albums tonight. Imaginations from the Other Side builds really nicely. You're getting these layered vocals. You're getting all these different little instrumental touches. They really are building the songs vertically now. They're not just blasting through them linearly. They want to build up these big sounds. And Imaginations does that extremely well. Great chorus, very catchy, very memorable. Blind Guardian still had that going on. Even though they didn't have the actual speed, they still had the songwriting capability at this stage. So they're slower songs, but they're still very enjoyable songs. The closer is one of those career highlight moments, and the story ends. Has that same somber Dio thing going on that we've actually kind of identified several times tonight, which I think is kind of cool and interesting. The whole album has a bit of a melancholic vibe. I mean, it's leaning into the whole Arthurian legend, which, I mean, there's different versions of that, but they don't tend to end very well for Arthur and company. Most people just think of it as the Monty Python or some cartoon silliness version. The actual Arthur story, there's a guy trying to do some good things, but getting tripped up quite a bit. We'll just leave it at that. And the story ends is, once again, I pulled the lyrics up over here for the chorus line. It's, and the story ends. Insanity said coldly, still waiting for the chance. So out of nowhere it will rise. Oh, and another journey starts by the call of the moon. It's wrapping up the whole story. The album, it's putting it to bed, and it's doing so on kind of a downer note, but it's an incredibly well-crafted song. Once again, they're building vertically. They're adding all these flourishes and layers to really give it a unique feel. It's symphonic, but it doesn't use typical symphonic elements. It's not symphonic, for example, in the vein of a Nightwish. It doesn't have that kind of feel to it. It's something a little different. Blind Guardian around this time had a sort of folkish vibe at times, which keeps it a little more earthy and grounded, while still being able to build up and sound grandiose. It almost seems contradictory, but they knew how to balance it. They really had an idea and a vision, and they figured out how to make it work. And for a few albums, they did so spectacularly. Eventually, they kind of lost the plot, but many bands do. Great stuff throughout this album. But yeah, the opening and closing tracks bookend this one absolutely perfectly. So Blind Guardian, Imaginations from the Other Side. Thank you to whoever recommended that one in the chat. I should have pulled it. I didn't pull it, but I had time to fix that.
David Pays.
David, yes, it was David. Yep. Thank you, David.
Thanks, Rockies.
Great call.
Yep.
Thanks, North.
Wife and I saw them live a couple years ago in basically like a club with like 200 people. And it was
nice.
Which sounds like, you want to see them with people singing along, like thousands of people, but it was amazing because they absolutely killed it. Like they played it like they were playing at Vakken.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, my wife and I, we've caught them, I think, twice. We missed them last year, which kind of sucked, but we've caught them twice. It kind of the same setting. And even in those small settings, you will have people sing along.
Mm-hmm.
I think we saw them in Charlotte, and when they did Valhalla, I think the crowd kept the Valhalla chorus going for like over 5 minutes. Yeah. You could tell even Hansi was just kind of like, you guys just going to keep going, aren't you? Okay. We'll let you keep singing. If you want to sing, we'll let you keep singing. But you can tell like, they're probably ready to move on with the rest of the song, but everyone just kept Valhalla. As soon as it would end, the audience would just start right back over. It was like we were stuck in a tape loop.
Awesome band.
Very cool. All right. Well, I'm going to get this obvious out of the way right here. And this is a choose your own adventure because both of these here, Melissa, don't break the oath. We can either start with Evil and end with a very evil atmospheric Melissa track, or we could do A Dangerous Meeting, Cautionary Tale Not to Play with the Powers of Darkness, and come to the Sabbath. Get themselves killed. Yep. Classics, 100%. And since we're getting towards the end, I might as well throw this volunteer in as well, too. Abigail. Arrival, great opening track after the intro. And, of course, Black Horseman. I love the ending of this track. amazing twin guitar lines by Mr. Denner and Mr. LaRock. Absolutely classic heavy metal. Great. Ty.
Yeah, I'll just piggyback off that really quick. I feel like most bands have just been chasing this record for so long. Like, the production is absolutely amazing. And like the band, if I put it up there with the first Sabbath, and especially the title track Sabbath, of a truly evil sounding album, and Melissa too.
Yeah.
And they didn't have to overdo it like so many bands do.
Nope.
It's just amazing. It's amazing. I feel like a lot of bands have been chasing that forever.
Well, even Merciful Fate, as soon as they started recording in the U.S. digitally, they lost that creepy vibe.
Yeah. No, 100%. Yeah. That analog feel, like it's amazing. It's amazing. Truly stellar. Some of the one of the best, easily 1-2 like back-to-back albums ever.
Oh yeah.
Probably maybe number one. I'll do this one really quick. One of my last ones here. So, Death with Human. I love this era of the band. I think this is the best lineup Chuck ever had. Flattening of Emotions. The riffing is mechanical but organic. Song is driven, awesome, incredible rhythms by DiGiorgio and Sean Reinert on drums. His playing, dude, just adds so much to this album. And like, despite all the intricacy and how great they are as musicians, like, the song remains catchy easily all the way through. Great hooks, recurring melodies. Like I said, the main riff is instantly catchy. The slower sections do hit really hard too, but while still remaining complex. I love this era of Chuck's vocals as well. Vacant Planets, maybe not like the biggest track on it, but I think it's a nice deep cut. You get nice shifts between the groove, bursts of aggression. Reinert's drum again is probably the highlight for me. Paul and Chuck too, I feel like they were a great duo on guitar. Track has a bunch of atmosphere too, which I feel like kind of death metal for this era didn't capture a lot, especially the Florida bands. It was mostly just about the brutality and aggression, and I feel like Chuck obviously had a conflicting relationship with a lot of stuff and didn't want to, the name and everything, and this is kind of changing, but I absolutely dig it, and I think they're two highlight tracks and an absolutely stellar album. And my favorite lineup of the band, of the many different lineups there was.
Yep. Speaking of Andy LaRock, oh no, he was on Individual Thought Panels.
Yeah.
All right, good one. Was that your last one, Ty, or do you have more?
No, I can keep going if you want to.
Okay, we can probably do one more round after this one and call it.
Okay. That sounds
good.
That sounds like a good plan. I see. For this round, I'll do one that seems pretty obvious, but has slipped here to the 11th hour. Puppets, Metallica.
I almost pulled it, but I didn't.
Yeah.
Good
It starts with Battery, which of course is a battering ram of a track. Ends with Damage Incorporating, which is another battering ram of a track. Which hadn't noticed it before, but yeah, you have two of the shorter, kind of more aggressive tracks bookending this album. Lots of great things in between, but the tracks in between, like Master of Puppets, Disposable Heroes, Leopard Messiah, some of those are the longer songs that are more topical in the lyrical content. Welcome Home Sanitarium, of course, also topical but slower. So yeah, you do have like those two kind of short, sharp sticks at the beginning of the album. It's like whap, hit you over the head, get you completely into this, and at the end, whap, we're going to kick your ass one more time on the way out. Works incredibly well. Not an album I go back and play very often these days, just because I overplayed it as a kid, but it's still one of the hallmark thrash albums of all time. It begins and ends as you'd expect it to. Top-notch stuff. So Master of Puppets deserves a mention here.
Yeah, you could also choose Ride the Lightning, do Justice, Kill 'Em All. I mean, any of those, they're great. Obviously, classic albums, but especially they did really well about opening with that great banger and then closing with the epic. They did a really good job most of the time.
Yep.
So,
good point, Ty.
All right. Well, let's talk about a classic U.S. death metal band, Immolation with Dawn of Possession.
Oh, interesting.
Absolute favorite. They obviously got a little bit more obtuse as they went along. They didn't really live in this old school vibe very long. Here and After was still sound like the same band, but the progression was very noticeable. But here we start off with the classic Into Everlasting Fire. Great song, great movement in the riffs, great transitions, everything about this. Ross's vocals are just super sick. Rob's guitar lines, very catchy. And then we end with Immolation. They put the oldest song on here. It's the first song on their first demo. So it's a book ended by 2 banger tracks and just a perfect album. Classic record. I'll do another one here real quick. Let's do this one. Samael's Ceremony of Opposites.
I looked at that one.
We start off with Black Trip. Just a very catchy, kind of a groove, hard-hitting groove to the song. The way Vorflack's voice interacts with that groove, it's very natural. They came out of a very dark, very evil album with Blood Ritual. And then this is definitely a progression in the fact that it still maintains that black metal evil spirit, but there's more symphonic elements as well. They employed an actual keyboardist on this thing. Black Trip, great catchy song to start the dark but catchy song to start the album off with. And then we end on Ceremony of Opposites, which it continues on. It brings a little of the symphony into the end and the closing of the album as well, which is cool. Makes it feel very epic and cinematic at the end. It feels almost like a motion picture soundtrack ending mixed in with the black metal aesthetic. Very cool. And this will be our final round. Ty.
Awesome. I got 2 here, but I'll do this one. It's funny. You can do
them both. Go for it.
Okay. I'll do both of them. I'll be quick. It's funny. You can kind of see my taste in modern black metal with all my tastes tonight. But Moonlight Sorcery, Horn Lord of the Thorn Castle 2023. I can't wait till they follow this up. Hopefully I won't be as disappointed as I probably will be in the Stormkeep now. Alan has me all weirded out. Thanks.
Sorry about that. Yeah.
That's all right.
I'll give it I'm hoping I sit down and listen to it and it starts to click.
I got to crack the seal on that. I haven't spun it yet.
I'm curious to see, are you guys going to do it for the album, the new releases then?
Yeah, we might.
We'll probably do a review on it, I think. So
gotcha.
That's going to happen probably.
Okay. I'm curious to hear the thoughts then. But anyway, this album, Finland, symphonic black metal, it's honestly like shred black metal, power metal. It's absolutely insane. Yeah. It probably shouldn't work, but it does. They pull it off really nice. You open with to Withhold the Day. There is no map in here, but I can read the tracks nice enough. Band takes 3 minutes 30 seconds to combine a lot of symphonic black metal, melodic black metal with shredding power metal. Like I said, it's a banger of an opener, really quick to the point. Awesome keyboards, audible bass again. I love bass in black metal. I know that's kind of not cult, but I like it.
Yeah. Bass can add a lot. It's cool. It's a cool instrument.
It truly can. Ask Jason Newsted.
Yeah.
How that worked out for him. The song also ends too before it overstays its welcome. Like they're not just shredding to shred and like Yngwie Malmsteen type of stuff, which a ton of bands could learn from. You're immediately hooked, massive production, great playing, vocals. You're just in for a good time on this record. Then you get to the end, Suddenty, Woven Hour Part 2. I don't even know where Part 1 is because I don't think it's on. I don't know if it's on like an EP or something, or a previous album. But anyway, this track, ton of memorable leads and riffs, but it isn't just a wank fest. Like I said, like a great song is being played. It's crafted because it is. Perfect example of blackened power metal. Like I said, like they're doing this very well, which shouldn't work, but it does. 8 minutes long, never loses steam. All the playing serves the atmosphere of the song, the album, what they're trying to do. And they're not just soloing to solo. And then my last one, kind of a weird one, but I wanted to talk about the closer. Skid Row's debut, self-titled. You get Big Guns, which is a cool song. It's clear that, like, it's definitely not the single. Obviously, 18 in Life, Youth Gone Wild, and then I Remember You, the massive ballad. But Big Guns is a cool song. It kind of shows Snabo's ability to write riffs. It introduces, obviously, Sebastian Bach's amazing voice. I love his like tone, his gruffness to his voice. He kind of adds like an Axl. I know him and Axl are close. It kind of adds like an Axl Rose. Like, the band sounds dangerous. It doesn't sound like Poison. Like, it sounds, or like Crew at this point. Like, they sound like they have an edge.
Yeah.
But then the closer, Midnight Tornado, is an absolutely awesome track. And it's kind of funny. It was written by, is it Matt Fallon wrote the song with Snake, and he was supposed to sing on the album, and then they got Sebastian. He was also supposed to sing on Spreading the Disease by Anthrax, and then they replaced him with Joey Belladonna. Like, that's like the worst. I feel so bad for that dude. You could have been known forever, obviously, 2 massive albums. And maybe they wouldn't have been as massive, but still, really good album. I think it's underrated. And to have 2 standout tracks at the beginning and end when you have massive singles, I really dig it. So,
All right.
I'm not sure what to make of your comment about Matt Paradise. Like, poor guy, he missed out on these 2 great chances. He'd probably would have fucked it up, and the albums would have sucked with him.
I don't know if I'm just saying.
Kind of a backhanded compliment there.
But we can picture Anthrax without Joey.
Oh no, I completely get what you mean.
And when they had John, but was it ever as good?
It wasn't Anthrax.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't know. It's this weird alternate reality. Same thing with Skid Row. Like, they haven't had Sebastian forever. They basically have almost everybody else in the band. It's like, just make money, guys. Just bring them back and make a shit ton of money.
Yeah.
Like, you don't even have to do an album. But it's just weird. I would hate. Obviously, I don't know that guy. He's probably a cool dude. He's probably a great person. But to be in that position, like, man, I missed it twice by that much. Like, I was this close, man.
Yep.
Like, that's all you work for. Like, if you're, most of the time you're a musician, just to be known forever and have songs that live forever and obviously make money too. But like, you're that close, man. 2 classic albums that everybody knows and you missed them. But yeah.
He wouldn't have looked good in all the Teen Beat magazines with his shirt unbuttoned, like,
probably not.
So it would never have flown.
Yeah.
Probably not.
All right, Ellen.
All right, 3 to wrap up with here very quickly. One more big thrash banger, Overkill's Years of Decay, starts with Time to Kill, which is a fantastic song. It sets the tone. Bobby sounds particularly angry and pissed off through a lot of this album, which I love him in that particular mode. Time to Kill works great. And it closes with the 3rd, and at the time, last installment, Evil Never Dies, END, meant to sort of wrap up the Overkill trilogy of tracks. And does so really nicely. It just, he spits venom, Bobby does, all the way through the track. It has like one quick little break where they reuse the riff from part 1 and go right back to the Evil Never Dies, and then just cuts off. So fun, great first and last tracks there. Frank and the new wave of British heavy metal folks are still hanging around. Diamond Head, Lightning to the Nations, begins with the title track, which is one of their best, and closes with Helpless, which is a fantastic track as well. The only complaints you could have maybe about Helpless, it probably could have been trimmed down just a little bit. Probably didn't need to go 6+ minutes, but the same is true for a couple of the tracks on here. It's a fantastic album, lots of great songs. One of the truly top albums out of the new wave of British heavy metal. Begins and ends great tracks. Last one, this is kind of a personal favorite. Riot's debut, Rock City. This one begins with Desperation, which it just has this kind of a great fist-pumping, driving kind of tune. This whole album is really meant to be played like when you're driving on the interstate, top down, middle of summer. But Desperation is a track I dig, and it closes with this insanely catchy track called Still in Love, or This Is What I Get. It wasn't tonight, but recently I was chatting with somebody in the comments or live chat about how this song really should have been at least a regional hit single for Riot. This Is What I Get had everything going for it. That song had radio hit. It's just steeped in its DNA. Riot never had much luck statesides, though, whether it came to singles or other issues. Riot just sort of functioned under a black cloud with a lot of things never quite going their way. It's amazing the band has persevered as long as they have, and I'm glad they have. They're my favorite band of all time. They have incredible string of albums. This Is What I Get just has this great catchy chorus to it. Guy Speranza sounds fantastic. It would have been the perfect top 40 radio hit for 1977, just wasn't meant to be. But the album begins and ends with great tunes, and there's a million good ones in between as well. But that's where I will call it for tonight, and let Marty show his last batch here.
All right, we'll close out with two. My favorite Sacrifice album, For Determination. This thing, when this came out, I could not, the whole year of this landed, I could not stop listening to it. For Determination, lead off track, closes with Pyrokinesis, fast, intense. Obviously, they're starting to get a little influenced by Metallica a little bit, because Torment and Fire was a little bit more caustic, little more underground sounding thrash here. Of course, you're on a slightly bigger label. Which one was this on? I don't remember. Oh, it's on Metal Blade. They got a bit of a recording budget. There's a lot of low end in this recording, really well produced, but still the band fit perfectly within that more polished sound production. Great album, great songs, and show my age, don't care. Paul Stanley solo album.
Ooh, solo.
Yep. Tonight You Belong to Me starts this off. Closes with very emotive song, Goodbye. It's a good song. Paul sings his ass off on this record. He's given room to not be bothered by any other singers in the band. He can do it all himself on here. The songs are really well done, really heavy at times. You got Bob Kulick, who is Bruce Kulick's older brother, would have gotten the job as Kiss's guitarist, but Ace came in and kind of stole the show. But still, Bob stayed in their hemisphere all along. He played on the solos on the 4 tracks on the end of Alive 2. He was always around with them, but he was on this all over this album. This is a great record. It's a great rock record. Hey, thanks, Miss A. Appreciate you. I love Kiss. This is my favorite of the solo albums. Second being Ace's. This is has a great production, really good sound. It's almost kind of a mystical production. There's something about it. Very 70s, but you know what? Child of the 70s. It's all good. I have a massive tower of CDs here. If it falls, I'm going to be pissed. And with that, I think we got the job done.
We do. We have one more super chat though to shout out. Also, Lee, thank you very much, man.
Hey, thanks, Lee. Appreciate you, man. You guys didn't have to do that. Super chat for no Peter Chris picks. yeah.
No Beth.
Come on, Beth. Right on. Well, Ty, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
You had a great time.
Nice having you on.
And if you're new around here, please consider subscribing, and also link to Ty's channel. Living Deadwax is in the description. Let's go give him a bump in subs too. He's right around the 300 mark. Let's get him up there. Let's get him rolling.
Absolutely. Yep.
Anything coming up you want to promote real quick, Ty, before we pull the plug?
Yeah, real quick. I'm going to be doing a 96. You guys covered that. But I like to do like the decades and anniversaries and get nostalgic. So I'm going to be doing a 96 episode and talking about my favorite records from that. And then also I just got this room basically kind of where I enjoy it. So I might do a room tour because for some reason people like those. And I like those too for weird reasons. I don't know.
Everybody's a voyeur.
Exactly. Basically, I just like watching people. What did you actually spend money on? You know?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Yep.
So yeah, that'll be coming up. Yeah, if anybody wants to check me out, I appreciate it. I appreciate you guys. Appreciate you guys what you do for the community and running the Discord and all that stuff and the community in there. It's been awesome.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, we're very lucky. We have an awesome community. You all rule. Thank you so much for spending your time with us. Alan, what's going on with Let's Talk Metal Tuesday?
Don't know, but there'll be a video at 6:45 a.m. on Tuesday, like there is every Tuesday.
Right on.
I've been recording several lately. I haven't picked which one I want to put up for Tuesday, though. So We'll just have to wait and see. But I did want to say thank you to everybody who's left comments on this past Tuesday's video. Frank was in the chat earlier. He came up with that particular topic, and it's been a very popular one. Folks have really enjoyed it. So big thank you to Frank. Folks definitely dug that idea. It's been cool reading everybody's comments. It's been a really good conversation all week on that one.
Right on. Well, I guess that's it. Next week, I don't remember what the album club. I can never remember.
I do not know. I missed Wednesday night, so
it was Logan's pick. Oh, it was a Toxic Holocaust album.
Okay.
Don't know which one it is. But yeah,
Logan's picks are interesting. You never know which direction he's going to go.
It's true. It's true.
He keeps you guessing.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much. Go check out Living Deadwax. Everybody in the chat, go check out the Discord server if you are not familiar. Link is in the description. I added that today. Go click on over there and join the conversation in the community. Great time all week long talking about metal and stuff. So cheers, everybody. We'll see you next week. Have a great weekend. Bye.
Bye.
You have trouble finding titles?